not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in some situation, and the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, wait. Sema tena.
Kwaje? Good morning.
Ala?
Kwa salamu.
Unajua watu wanakuja huku usiku wanafanya vitu zao.
I know. I know.
La, 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 la.
How are you? Good morning.
Bado. I'm not good morning him yet.
Allah.
Okay.
Bas, now I'm good morning.
Good morning.
Very good.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It is the what again? Today, what's the date today? It's the 17th.
Today is the 17th. Hapana. Yes, today is the 17th of
December.
Of December. Yes, it is.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How was your restful night? Or was it?
It was all right. I don't know. I had a bit of fitful sleep, but here we are. I woke up at 2:15 and I was not able to sleep very much until then. English after that is what I'm trying to say. But I'm here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Tunena, thank you so much. I let it down. Gotta let your hair down every now and then. So what did you want me to sing today?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one you're singing out there.
Which one?
Emmanuel.
Because you're Emmanuel. You're Emmanuel, those people who are born on the day of Christmas.
Mama Aseto wanted me to be called Emmanuel. Baba Aseto was like, Ateke. Dennis.
It will not be. Call him Dennis.
Call him Dennis.
Okay, let me sing the first verse.
You actually should do covers. I don't know, man. We've been talking about this thing for a very long time.
So no. But then I just need to maybe, who will put me in their studio?
Me.
You'll put me in a studio somewhere to sing. It's actually one of my favorite Christmas hymns, this one. Yeah. Okay, hymns, okay, because I'm Anglican. Saubasi carols. Ivy, good morning. Where is your unicorn? If you don't have the unicorn, it's not complete. We can't start the show, so go and find it before the show.
Ivy without a unicorn is naked. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
It took me back. Okay, Sawa, let me sing it. Oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, who mourns in lowly exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
Got a beautiful voice.
Thank you, sir. Asante sana.
You got a beautiful voice.
Merry Christmas to everybody. And of course, we started off to say, please, as you celebrate this Christmas season, be as careful as you can.
Yes.
Spread a little love, even if it is just by word. If you're not able to do more, saying a kind word to someone or letting them know that you care for them, especially this season, will go a long way. Believe me.
Yes.
Words do carry weight.
Remember, take care of yourself, and by doing that, remember you're taking care of the next person. So if you are a driver, take care of yourself by resting. Take care of yourself by ensuring that your vehicle is well serviced so that it's roadworthy.
Yeah.
And ensure that even if you are a driver, especially in the public service vehicles, ensure that you have an assistant so that you can rest and someone else can take that route when you are resting. It's paramount, it's important, because at the end of the day, it is festive season and everybody needs to celebrate. So let's take care of each other.
For real. So as you tune into the show this morning, our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Dennis Aseto and Okoh here with you in the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation, getting into the 17th of December. It's Wednesday, and Evie is here. She's not brought her unicorn, but she says she'll make it happen later. And also Christine. Sawa Christine. Good morning. Joyline, we see you as well. Good morning, everybody. Karibu sana as we get the show on the road. Welcome. For those of you who are streaming in, our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And a very big welcome to our audience who's tuning in on KTN this morning. For folks who tune in as you get into the business of the day, listening silently and plugging into the discourse, asante sana. And as we do it today, let me let you know what we will be talking about this morning. Sawa sawa. Our conversations will span across a number of things today. And again, those are the words that we use: necessary discourse, for you to be plugged in, absolutely important as well. We're going to start off a conversation today about this very thing that we've been talking about. The headlines for the last couple of days have been quite worrying in terms of what's been happening. Not just the headlines, but the actual reality of accidents on the road. Don't crash the celebration. Drive safe. We're having a conversation with David Njeri, who's a Road Safety Association member, and he says, you know what, we say that the numbers that we're seeing is crazy. 4,000 people in 2025 died to road accidents, and we're already seeing and counting, and we're already seeing that in this couple of weeks of December alone there have been too many. There was even another one a couple yesterday. So let's have the conversation and let's amplify that, so that whatever we're doing, whether you're driven or you're driving, you can be careful. Dr. Martin Olo will then join us at 8 o'clock. We'll be looking at Parliament on Way Scale, End of Business 2025 and In-Trade 2026. Recess in a minute, and then coming back in the new year. They have a lot of things to do. What's actually in and what is actually out. We'll have that discussion in terms of the necessities of it at 8 with Dr. Olo. Kenya and Azerbaijan. Did you know that you had a relationship? Well, you do. His Excellency Sultan Hajiev is Azerbaijan's ambassador to Kenya and the representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. There are bilateral and multilateral ties that you share. First of all, we'll have this conversation and you guys will tell us where Azerbaijan is. First of all, and then you can let us know about the conversations that are currently being had. In diplomatic speak, bilateral and unilateral, rather bilateral and multilateral is the two countries bilateral, and then the two countries with others having conversations then become multilateral. So we'll talk about that and what the ties are and why it is important. That's what the show looks like today. Thank you for joining us already. And as we get into it,
Still the continent.
Today's problem, still the continent.
Still the continent. We call them the ancestors of the time, and their vision or their view on fairness, pretty much. So, if a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne is established forever. If a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne is established forever.
Right. And whether you are alive or not, the way in which you treated people with fairness, then we'll see it live through, because people will remember.
Yes.
For the longest time, remember that this was a fair person in how they handled people and in what they did. So how you treat people lives beyond you.
Beyond you, very much. Especially now when you just look at why they're focusing on the king and the poor. It's because most of the time you look at the king and the aristocrats and the people that surround them, right? And one would say the close neat circle are the ones who are treated well. But if you treat the poor well, those that people do not even care to think about, then it is the majority pretty much who will keep on saying good things about your throne and how you treated them. So it exceeds you by many, many years to come.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something to think about. How do you make people feel? That's one thing that they will remember.
Thank you.
How you make people feel and how you treat them, they will remember for a long time. Let's look into... Let me greet people. Look at me already trying to run as though somebody's chasing me this morning. Hey, whoa. So sorry. All right. And I know that people are tuned into the room. Why?
What's that?
Joyline wants me to sing again. If you tell me the song to sing, I'll sing.
Yep.
You've given me an assignment. Now tell me the song to sing and I'll sing it. I'll look for the words and I'll sing it as I greet people. Oh yeah, quick, find the song before we start greeting people. And so people are getting into the room this morning. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, indeed, our live streams are up, YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Okay, let me sing that one. Did I not sing it yesterday?
Which is that?
Mary's Boy Child. I sang it yesterday.
Yeah.
I did. I sang it yesterday. Didn't I sing it yesterday?
Yesterday was on Tuesday. I think it was a Monday.
Which one? Okay,
Monday.
Okay, let me sing another one for you, and then we can keep it moving. Cindy.
Yes.
Okay. Another one of my favorites. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King, peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, hail the morning of the skies. Born to bring the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. I've mixed all the verses in there.
Yes, I do, Yeah.
There you go. Another one tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
Sawa. Again, Merry Christmas and compliments of the season. Good morning to everybody. Kiaria Peters tuned in from Mombasa. Never dwell on the past. Just always be one step ahead, for the future is so very bright. You never know what will happen. Kabisa. Good morning, Ndu, and a lady with a beautiful beauty and his handsomeness, Dennis.
Good morning,
if somebody
Desmond.
greets you like that every day, my goodness.
Good morning, Desmond.
You can want to wake up. EVE, and good morning. Ruto Akubali too. Anamdai Kalonzo. Ateke, Desmond, what are you saying?
Diana.
Says something.
Okay.
Robert Tobogo says, good morning, tuning from Mombasa. Rongo is where George Adimo is tuned in this morning. And good morning to everybody. From Kendu Bay is where George Obuya is. Mwangi Mike is tuned in from Njeri. Your signal 90.9 FM has been off. Yes, indeed it was off yesterday. And the folks who are working on it.
Yeah.
So just hang tight for us and let's see what we can do. In the meantime, you can tune in on YouTube, and thank you for doing that. Rahim Tula Omar, good morning from Peston in the UK. Fun conversation with the two professors yesterday. That's quite something. I recommend you invite PLO and Muluka together. Very nice tag team. Sindio?
Kabisa.
Thank you so much, Rahim Tula. Sing the 12 days of Christmas. Okay, I think we're already past that now because we should have started on the 12th.
Yeah.
And done one every day. But next year we'll remember. All right. Good morning, my team from Mombasa. Waiting patiently for today's conversation. We're in it. Good morning, Erica War. To you, Karibu Sana. Hisa Daniel says, good morning. Sikiku ya nukia ndunjo tukule ingo. What?
Sikoku.
What's ingoko?
Sikoku. You know what Sikoku is?
A celebration.
It's like celebration.
Right.
Ingoho is chicken. So it's just welcoming you for a feast.
Voila. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Ingoho, but it's not Kiswahili. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Joyline hajakwambia bado?
Joyline hajaniambia mambo ya Ingoho.
Choma.
Okay. Cecilia Ngwengi says, good morning, Team Spice, tuned in. It's freezing cold. It must be in New Jersey. Northeastern America is not fun right now. Tujenge inchi pamoja kabisa. Mashari and Njeri says, good morning, Team Spice. A governor spends millions of shillings to hold a cultural festival while these people in Turkana are dying of hunger. I know. It is not...
Yeah, that one.
Smiling today at peace.
That one.
Yes. Linda Agola, good morning. I think you and I need to do a duet. Kabisa. Come. Seriously speaking, let's do. I need help. We do it together. Let's do it. Good morning to you, my sister Karibu Sana. Hello, Princess Ndu and Aseto. IPCA have a hard time disassociating itself from the political hiring. Who wore their women council headgear, then church accepts to be a politician's playground. It still continues, no matter what you say.
Yeah.
Before the words have even left your mouth, somebody else is lining up in church. Good morning, everybody. Now, Penda Sana, wishing you a wonderful day ahead. Carol Nyambura, where have you been? Karibu Sana, thank you for being in the room once again. Tony Mohoho is tuned in and watching from Kino, watching with my beautiful wife, Joanne. Have a fruitful and wonderful day. Thank you so much. Wycliffe is watching, says, hi, Ndu and Aseto. 96.7 is off Tangujana. 10 again, 10.
It was fixed.
It was fixed, that one,
at some point, yeah. Anyway, if it says it's off air, we'll have our teams check that out as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. David Mangera says, tuned in. Ndu Aseto, Eve, Christine, everybody have a lovely day. Princess Ndu was still waiting for that album launch. Okay. 2026. If I don't record even one single, then you guys can break up with me.
No, tell us what you should do. Not breaking up.
You don't want to break up with me.
We're not letting you go. Just tell us exactly what you want us to do.
If I don't record even one in the studio, one song, even if it's a cover, whatever, it'll probably be a cover because who's writing music? A cover before March 2026. Let me think of the punishment. See, now you have to think of the punishment.
Okay.
I will do it.
Rather, I think they should tell us in the comments what the punishment should be.
Okay, Joyline, that's never going to happen. You don't want to know what Joyline says, I'll tell you at the break.
Okay.
It is never going to happen. Bernard says, guys, the corruption between Kisumu and Busia by our police is wanting, overloading, reckless driving, while the police pocket 50 bob. Let's shame these cops. The head of the judiciary,
CJ.
Thank you. Hey, okay.
Chief Justice
Martha Koma said the other day that this Christmas they're deploying people to the road to stop this very thing. But from what we're being told, it's heightening, and as people travel, it looks like it's getting worse.
I mean, Kenyans should start arresting police officers.
Yeah, call it out. Put the phone where I'm filming you. Hey, Munataka Aje. So I guess she said, be very bold about it. Ryan Tula, we see you. Tibbs Mungai says, good morning, SpiceFM. Kenya will be hosting the Global Conservation Tech and Drone Forum in March. Okay. Out of perform something. Yes, we know Azerbaijan is in Europe. It was a rhetorical question. Okay. Margaret Wanjo, he says, good morning, all at Spice Situation Room. Happy to be here early. Let's continue the great conversations. Kabisa. Morning, Spice. Looking forward to the road safety conversation at 7, says Edwins. Why are Kenyans so bad at obeying traffic rules? Yani, it's a question.
It's a culture.
Jennifer said, Dennis Niseme.
Sema.
Dennis Niseme.
Sema.
It's our birthday month.
Again, 8 days to go for me.
8 days to go. 8 days to go. 8 days to go. Jennifer, sawa, we are sorry.
Yeah, it's an entire the entire month.
The entire, sawa, Emmanuel. Emmanuel and Emanuela, basi. James Kamal says, good morning. Good morning to you. Listening to from South Sea, SGR. In fact, in December, it averages over 10,000 passengers per day, translating to 200 buses per day off the road. Imagine to Busia. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Wow, okay. Evans is tuned in from Rongo. Adala Calvin says, Ndu, I need help. Ndu, this man should be behind bars. Are you okay? What's wrong? Talk to us. Godfrey says that these smiles are those fellas paid early for Christmas. Oh, if we were to tell you, Ezia Kubundu is my name. If we were to tell you the truth, we are smiling because God is good. David Mangara, God is good. Thank you so much. Beja tuned in from the UK. Good morning. Great to have you here. D. Okombo says, good morning, all. Dennis, the present proverb resembles that of Matthew 18:21 to 35.
Matthew?
18:21 to 35. He used to be an altar boy, almost a pastor.
Hey.
Kimathi McConnell says, Habari ya leo, Spice Spam family. Revolutionary journalism at your heart's tops, kabisa. My prince, good morning. A year ago, we had floods everywhere. Imagine, this time last year, the country was flooding. Today, we're talking of drought and hunger. Do we have our priorities right? A climate will do that. That you will have harsh climate conditions following each other. That when you have floods, you will have drought. You know that it's going to happen. In terms of what happens with disaster management in the country, whole other kettle of fish. Charles Onyango says, oh, good morning, Spice. Waiting for tomorrow's song. We'll bring it. Don't worry. Doha saying good morning through Robert Maina. Good morning to you. And Yakundi Emmanuel saying, good morning, Spice. How do you build a stadium in Lodwar instead of providing water? I agree. I agree. Bongi Juma, we see you. Good morning. I thank the Almighty God for Kenyans. Good morning to you. The Duke, even you, Duke, you will tell us where you have been. This kind of behavior won't agree. You can't just come and then disappear for 2 weeks. But we're happy to have you. In Eldoret, the wheelbarrow party saw very bad things, and I'm happy the fall of it has begun at home. Woo-wee. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Karibuni sana. And thank you for being in the room today. Thank you for joining us. Ati Matthew
18:21-35 says, Jesus' parable of the unforgiving servant told after Peter asked if forgiving 7 times was enough. Jesus replied, 70 times 7, illustrating that believers must offer limitless forgiveness, just as God forgave their massive spiritual debt, exemplified by a king forgiving a servant's huge debt, who then refused to forgive a small debt of a fellow servant, leading to severe punishment from the king. King forgives you, you refuse to forgive your fellow servant, then king comes back and punishes you severely.
How you treat people. I agree.
Exactly.
It's a good lesson.
When you get favor, you extend favor.
And the headline on the Standard this morning: questionable fund. As President William Ruto's hyped bottom-up economic transformation model falters with nothing much to show for the last 3 years, the administration seems to have abandoned Mama Mboga and is now going for mega infrastructure projects through the so-called Singapore Dream. But despite Ruto selling his new pet strategy as Kenya's way into the first world, financial experts have questioned the creation of a national infrastructure fund and fear it's just another attempt to illegally transfer public assets into private hands. 5 trillion shillings infrastructure fund in where Ruto plans to rope in private sector investors. And we've seen that possibly with the sale of Safaricom shares, government-owned Safaricom shares of 244 billion. That will be the first amount that goes into this 5 trillion shilling kitty. That's what it's expected to do. Okay. We're looking at that. We're going to look into it because financial experts are saying, no. This is just the next thing that you're saying. The two professors had that conversation with us yesterday and they said, you know what? Okay, in as much as it's great, you can't develop on the building of infrastructure. And that how you develop is through manufacturing and then exporting and then making a profit and then using that to build sovereign funds. People don't build sovereign funds from things that they did not sell. Can't borrow money and put it in a sovereign fund. Just saying. So, other stories making headlines today. 18 rescued from the Russian front line. 18 families can now breathe a sigh of relief after their loved ones who were previously trapped on the Russian war front line returned home. Of the 18, 16 were assisted by Kenya's embassy in Russia, while 2 notified the embassy and found their way back. That continues to happen is a crying shame. We hope that the events of September 24th, when people were arrested, will bring about a stop, not a change, a stop to this kind of thing, where people are so desperate for the almighty shilling that you will do everything, including sabotage the life of another person to then be able to get that money. If you see, you know you're not complete without that unicorn. And utafuta hata kama tunasoma headlines. I'm sorry, don't be angry. KDF, KNH, police jobs scam. Ooh, it's not me, it's in the paper. Duo charged over 5.4 million shilling fraud. You know, I asked the question yesterday, what's wrong with us? What is wrong with us? People are looking for jobs, they're desperate. People are ready to die to be able to get this job. Then you go and scam them of the money that they've probably begged, borrowed, stolen to come and give you so that they can get a job. Then you scam them.
Yep.
What's wrong? You think it's just Russia? It's also KDF, it's KNH, it's police. Somebody's looking for a job in KDF to protect the country.
Yep.
You scam them of their money. Somebody's looking for a job at KNH, scam them of their money. Police job scams, scam them of their money. My God.
Education, scam.
Hi, you want to be a teacher, you want to be transferred? Then you were saying, maybe this is day 2 of the tirade. I don't know when it's going to end, but hey, can't be blaming the leaders and the politicians also.
Yeah.
There's something
wrong in the software. Remember the conversation you're having here yesterday? We spoke in terms of infrastructure and everything else that needs to be fixed. But if we do not fix the software, the mental capacity of individuals in the country, then we're just transferring this problem from one generation to the other, man.
There's something in my life. It's in our chi. In our chi, there's something that is wrong.
There is.
And our chi needs to vomit it. It is, no, come on. And then we say what? Who will lead who? Who will lead who? A bar worker who killed a lover in a Nairobi slum put to pub has been jailed for 15 years. That one, they'll be very fast to jail. And the DCI now widens investigations into Jirongo's death because the numbers are not numbering.
Yeah.
The math is not what?
Nothing.
It doesn't look like the way it's being told is what happened. And so there are very many question marks and a full stop needs to be put to it. Infrastructure fund experts poke holes in Ruto's dream and privatization plans spark oversight fears. Who's going to make sure that the money that you say you're spending, you're actually going to spend it right? 2 schools in one. Principals brace for complex CBE transition. For the first time in history, you're going to have Form 2, Form 3 and Form 4, but you're also going to have Grade 10 in all schools now across the country, that you will now have a combi curriculum where KCSE is not going to end until 2027.
Yes.
That the last KCPE are also the last KCSE, but they're also in school now with the incoming Grade 10s. Never happened before, so 2 curriculums in one is what we are seeing now. PSC advertises top university post to arrest power vacuum. Oh, good luck. Family happy as 18 kin saved from Russia's death enterprise return home. And president rattled by Kalonzo's growing coalition, according to analysts. Kalonzo seems to be chaka-chaka, getting people into his basket. And it seems to be worrying some people here and there. And did you know that 20 counties spent zero? Okay, that's probably in your head. But counties are struggling to raise own revenue as arrears grow. This according to the COB. And the last story that we'll look at in the Standard today, Kilavuka exits KQ as board picks Egyptian Kamal to replace him. Will this be the panacea, there's that word again, to the nation's problems? I have to look at the back page of the Standard.
Okay.
Because it's green and white, and it's a sports story. Africa Cup of Nations. Osimhen is a fantastic football player, and there he is. From selling newspapers. This is a guy who actually sold newspapers, who hawked newspapers, but his football was unbelievable. And he now glows at the sight of AFCON trophy. Victor helped Super Eagles reach the African playoffs for the 2026 World Cup, but they didn't make it. 15 countries have won the Africa Cup of Nations since 1957. He says, I had to sell newspapers and bottles of water to help my family survive. He is a Nigerian striker, and this picture is him celebrating scoring against Angola in the 2024 Africa Cup of Nations. That we know the Cup of Nations is faster coming, and it's going to be an interesting tournament. Let's see who's going to lift the trophy this year. According to coach Eric Chelle, he says he's the greatest striker in the world. I don't know about that, but okay. Nigeria have an abundance of attacking talent, and fellow African Player of the Year award winner Ademola Lookman is among those who would partner Osimhen. So it looks as though the eye is on Nigeria for the Cup of Nations.
Cup of Nations.
Who am I to refuse? Who am I?
No.
It's okay.
That's just to talk about the Africa Cup of Nations by mere fact that we are hosting it. So,
all right.
Yes. Hapa Talanta tu hapa. Sisi ni wenyeji, lazima tucheze. Yeah.
All right.
If Chan is anything to go by, we expect the team to perform even better because, the president will maintain the $1 million bob per win.
Yeah. So now what this happens, so we know that Chan was for only local club players. Cup of Nations goes to now the national teams of African players who play in different parts of the world and for club and country as well.
Exactly. Let's go to the Daily Nation, Queries over Ruto's 5 trillion shillings fund. You remember the infrastructure fund?
Yes.
And there is a concern pressed in a tight corner by Kenyans who have rejected tax increases. And with limited room to borrow, President Ruto has resorted to using public money to attract private sector investments in public projects, promising to make Kenya a first world country in 30 years. We said developed country. But a day after the cabinet approved establishment of 2 kitties for the 5 trillion shillings plan, questions have emerged on the formation, utilization, management and accountability of the funds. The president says, we will close the gap between the rich and the poor and lay a firm foundation for Kenya's transition to the first world economy. One would want to ask the question, bottom up, where are we in bridging that gap? Because that was the goal. So 3 years later, where exactly are we?
Exactly. Good question.
DCI probes Jirongo death in the horror crash. So now we are looking at CCTV footage at petrol station near scene where Jirongo died moments later, and the timestamps upon which his car drove into Eagle petrol station at 2:19. The Mercedes-Benz registration stops at the station's exit, and at 2:19 and 19 seconds later, Jirongo's car turns right, driving back towards the Nairobi direction, and at 2:19 with 25 seconds, CCTV captures Climax Company Limited bus registration KCU 576 ramming into his vehicle. So it is detectives piecing up the story and perhaps coming up into a conclusion on what exactly happened. Now, 20 governors spent zero on development, says new audit. Zero. Where we know that in the budget, how much are they supposed to set aside for development?
It should be 30%,
right?
Of the 30% is what they do every 5 years, where they see and they have these the county aggregate something development. The CIDP, the County Integration Development program. It is supposed to then sets aside 30% of their revenue or of their money for development.
I can imagine this is money that has been set aside, but zero use. Anyway, 18 Kenyans rescued from Russia battlefield, and co-parenting doesn't mean 50-50 financial contribution. A judge has held that shared responsibility does not imply an even split of financial cost, but a contribution proportionate to means. See 50-50. Now, bound by politics and more stories of Moi, Ruto, Kirwa and Jirongo. That is on the page 2 of the Daily Nation. We go to page 4. Police release new details on Jirongo fatal crash. That as it continues, and special unit targets Holiday Road chaos. Remember that road, the unit that has been sent? Inasemekana pia polisi wanakula sana based off what we've been told along the Kisumu-Busia highway, right?
Wanakula
sana.
The team that was sent to make sure that things are okay, wanasema wamekula sana.
Not the team, based off what we've been told by our listeners.
All right.
Kwa hiyo barabara,
kuna
afisa wanakula sana hapo. Inafaa mambo ifanyike. And rocky start for Ruto's lofty 5 trillion infrastructure plan as oversight queries are being raised. And the AG says Kenya won't share sensitive health data with US. What exactly will be shared? That's the question Kenyans are asking, because it is not clear on what is being shared.
Exactly.
Right? So failure to communicate clearly, everyone will have their suspicions and will have their own conclusions as well. Want to look at this star?
All right. The survival spending debt consumes half of budget as crucial projects wait. This is coming out from the counties, of course, from the COB's report. The counties, again, under fire in terms of what is happening with development, that we've not seen development so far. And this is a yearly audit that she looks at. So that doesn't look too good for the counties right now. And if 20 of them have spent 0 shillings on development, then you wonder, is devolution working if that is the case? And there's also, unfortunately, a picture there, a kaleidoscope of road carnage that's leaving dozens dead. And it's unfortunate that we see this kind of thing, especially now when a lot more folks are going to be on the road. Life cut short. The wreckage of a matatu that was involved in a car accident in Nyamira Saturday evening, killing 8 people. A bus car that overturned in South B in Nairobi. A matatu involved in a head-on collision at Chibera Trading Center on Sondo Yugis Road in Homa Bay County, killing 10 people. The wreckage of a Mercedes-Benz that killed former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo in Karai on the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway Saturday morning. And they keep piling up.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing about that? At the very least, can we speak up?
Yeah.
Nyanza backyard embroiled in fierce debate as president visits Migori.
Migochwa. Migochwa. That means Migori yetu.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Ruto walks into split ODM in first post-Raila tour. And it's interesting because he's wearing a rather smashing outfit there.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. What's on his face? Oh, it's a thing. Okay, President Ruto at the Tobongu Lore Festival in Lodwar. That was somewhere else that he was.
Tobongu Lore.
That one?
In Lodwar.
Okay, so he makes his way into Migori. Why Ruto's Mount Kenya East allies are pushing for a regional split. I beg, people should stop disturbing us, please. Just do your thing and let's move. Detectives back at Jirongo death scene as DCI ramps up probe. I have a question. Do you think that if people hadn't started to raise questions about the timeline of events and how they happened, that they would have gone? I'm not blaming anybody. I think it's good that, sometimes maybe DCI just needs a little... an idea, and then they're able to say, hang on a minute, let's also go and probe this thing.
Yeah.
So I've always said that these guys are really good at what they do, and it would be great if they actually found out what happened and then brought the issue forward for further investigation. Kenya to shoulder health funding burden as donors exit in 5 years. Hello? 5 years. You've got 5 years to fix it. 5 years. Expect heavy rains for the next 7 days, says Met. It's going to rain. It's coming down, folks. And they're saying expect it in different parts of the country. So they had said the underlies, the southern westerly lanes, the winds from the northern
Hemisphere.
Southern warm rift front in Akuja. So in other words, mvua itanyesha. So just be knowing.
Nunua gambut. Tafuta umbrella. Tafuta hood. Tafuta mahali utajifikisha kwa sababu hii mvua itakushapa, na kama uko Nairobi tafuta boat.
You need to do it Masharia.
Masharia.
Do it Masharia because
it's when it rains it pours. Na ikinyesha inanyesha ubwana paka.
Ubwana paka. Do you know why they say it's raining cats and dogs?
Why?
So in those days there was no electricity. So the hearth where they would put the fire in the fireplace in the house, the cats and dogs would go above the hearth to get the warmth from the chimney. So when it started raining, the water would come and the cats and dogs would come out of there because they didn't want to get wet. So it would rain and the cats and the dogs would fall down. And that's why today we say it's raining cats and dogs. Ubwa na wapaka.
Do you know how they solved that? So if you look at the modern chimneys nowadays, it has like a structure that directs the smoke outside.
Through the chimney.
So the chimney itself has like a roof. So it no longer rains cats and dogs. Lakini inanyesha bado paka na ubwa.
If you had known this Masharia. All right. Let's look into one or two of these stories. The one that I want to look into, this infrastructure thing, we're going to talk about it just a little bit later. But this bar worker who killed a lover in a Nairobi slum pub jailed for 15 years. And we're looking at the arm of the law. Justice, it grinds, but it grinds slowly. A bar attendant who had brutally murdered her lover and staged his death to appear as a suicide has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. The High Court found Beth Rose Corona Miano, alias Muthoni, guilty of killing a 44-year-old Manson David Goge Mwora while drinking on October 10th, 2019, 6 years ago, at Matopeni area in Githogoro slums in Nairobi. In a judgment delivered at the Milimani Law Court yesterday, Justice Kanyi Kimondo said that the prosecution had proved the case against Carol beyond reasonable doubt and had further proved that the cause of Ogoge's death was head injuries due to blunt force trauma and not hanging at the pub's roof, as the accused had alleged. She had said, this guy, he was frustrated, hung himself. The guy said, no, this is not consistent with hanging. The prosecution told the court that the killing occurred inside a small one-room bar measuring approximately 15 by 10 feet. How do you have an entire bar in a 15 by 10? 15 by 10 is over there. Anyway, where the deceased body was found hanging under suspicious circumstances. The accused, acting in concert with others not before the court, murdered Gogi, and therefore the offence was grave, warranting a custodial sentence. The court heard that after killing the deceased, the accused and her accomplices went to great lengths to conceal the crime. Can you imagine? You kill somebody, then you put a rope around his neck, and then you hang him so as to appear as though he took his own life.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They then staged the scene to look like the deceased had committed suicide by hanging. While sentencing her, the court rejected the defense's claim that the case was founded on suspicion and lacked direct evidence. This was after her lawyer argued that Corona was not at the scene when the crime occurred and that investigators had failed to establish her involvement. According to the defense, there is no tangible and concrete evidence to remove the issues from the realm of suspicion into that of proven facts. However, the court ruled that the totality of the evidence placed Corona at the center of the crime. This happened in 2019. The trial has been going on. She was found guilty and yesterday sentenced to 15 years in prison.
You know, there's one thing about relationships, right? There is no relationship that is rosy, not even between you and your parents, right?
True.
So that means in a relationship that is now outside the confines of your family, kama imeumana, walk away.
Wachana nayo.
You've not been glued there. And even if you're glued there, you're glued to choma na moto na ita separate.
Even people who share the same blood.
Yeah.
Even people who share the same blood, Dennis, have decided that they're not going to be with each other anymore.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters have split.
True.
Parents have disowned their children. Brothers and sisters said they're not going to speak. Now you, the person who you don't even share blood with, must you? Is it by force?
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Leave it alone. Do you know how many, the deaths that we see, intimate partner deaths, they are not your father.
They're not.
Leave them alone.
You know.
Move.
So it's not worth for you to spend 15 years, yet all you needed to do is just walk away.
That night you would have just said, wewe.
You know.
See, even though unanifanyia, ni sawa. Mi naenda home.
Yeah. I mean, just pause to think about it. Just walk away. It is not worth it. It is not kabisa. Kabisa.
It isn't.
You know.
We can do better, folks.
We can do better. So tuangalie story ya maswali inaulizwa kuhusu infrastructure fund iko kwa page 4. It has also been carried up in the Daily Nation. But let's look at Kenya's Bold newspaper. The idea of National Infrastructure Fund as the magic wand that will transform Kenya into a first world economy has been criticized by experts who have also questioned Cabinet's plan to create a limited liability company to house the fund. Now, for a country that is evidently struggling economically with a debt that is inching closer to 13 trillion shillings, government experts argue that such a fund equates to mortgaging the nation's assets and taxpayers at large. Such a fund, they say, should be supported through surplus income like other economies that Kenya is mimicking do, and not becoming dependent on domestic financing or crowdsourcing. Considering the fund will be domiciled in a limited liability company, by extension, it means owners of this private entity through their shareholding may have a stake in not only the country's assets, but also future income through taxes. Now, the experts further argue that it is more prudent for the government to reduce on its inefficiencies, especially in project implementation, whose costs are largely inflated, and weed out corruption that has been proven to cost the economy in excess of 3 billion shillings daily. Right now, the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as communicated Monday through a cabinet dispatch, has been described as Kenya's bold step towards transforming the country into a first world economy. Now, every shilling invested through the fund is expected to crowd in up to 10 additional shillings from long-term investors, including pension funds, sovereign partners, private equity funds, and development finance institutions. That is, according to Francis Atwoli, who is the Secretary General of Okoh.
Okay.
So, we want to put up this infrastructure fund, right? But if you read the debt that we have in the country and that is choking the country, one asks the question, where are the priorities? Because then remember, the government, one of the big ticket items in every budgeting cycle is paying the debt.
Yep.
All right. So here we have the infrastructure fund that is coming in, and experts are saying this is just another conduit to sell resources, to sell wealth that the country has. And that is a problem. But then again, even as we talk about this infrastructure fund, what surplus do we have that is going to fund this infrastructure fund? Or are we depending on Ndu, Toa 10 bob Aseto, Toa 10 bob, EVE, Juakona Do, Toa 1,000 bob, know, so that this fund can grow? Which again, they say, is not making sense because Kenyans do not have purchasing power. Why again? Because of taxes that have been put up by the same government.
It's true. Those are the questions.
Yeah.
And that for me, you know what? Even before I want to imagine, because this thing that we are talking about, what is sad for me is that this idea that's being floated is actually possible.
Possible. It is.
You can actually do it.
Yes.
But if you don't have the intent, which is the fuel for this vehicle to move from here to there, if you don't have the intent, because the intent is not just, okay, I'm going to do it. The intent is getting rid of corruption. The intent is sorting out the debt issue.
Yes.
The intent is making sure that there's proper management and appropriation of funds. The intent is making sure that corruption becomes a thing of the past.
Yeah.
The intent is to make sure that certain things are moving.
Westage.
That's the intent.
Stops.
That's the intent.
Yeah.
If the intent is not clear, then unfortunately, this dashes the hopes and dreams of people who can imagine a developed Kenya, a developed Nigeria, a developed Zambia, a developed Guinea. I mean, that's it. That you can say all these wonderful things, you can put it on paper, but are you going to put it into practice? Are you going to? And that's why people are so, oh my God, another one. We're going through this again. Are they going to do it?
Yeah.
You know?
And you see, the thing is, with this fund that is here, first of all, I feel like the way it has been approached from the word go is wrong, because we talk about it because we have access to this information. We read exactly on a daily basis. We had the cabinet secretary here and he explained to us. But what happens to Kenyans who do not have access to the papers, do not have access to the cabinet secretary, who is taking this message to them to understand this is the government's program and has been forced to get here because of ABCD. This is how we will achieve it, and we require you, or we request you to be part of it in ABCD. In the meantime, we are doing ABCD to make things easier and affordable for you, because at the end of the day, Ndu, if I am unable to have 3 meals a day, if I'm unable to treat my sick, if I'm unable to take my children to school, if I'm unable to bring myself to work, if I'm unable to start a business and thrive while at it, if I have my coffee, Ndu, and all that I do with that coffee is put it somewhere for auctioning and take it outside the country for me to buy again processed coffee, you're not helping me, and that dream does not exist.
Very true.
The other day, I was having a conversation with CEO KTB, and we were just sharing conversation, right? And I told her the way Panama is doing it. Panama is considered to be one of the countries with the best coffee in the world. But what are they doing with that coffee? They are processing that coffee, and they bring the best baristas from the world to engage with that coffee, to see what Panama has to offer. And through that surplus, just the idea of tasting coffee in Panama is a tourist attraction. So that coffee berry alone is giving the country more than just what they would do with the coffee. What are we doing with our coffee? And one was telling me that coffee in this country is treated as drug business. It is so controlled that even the locals themselves, it is so controlled that they are unable to add value to that coffee because of the structures that were left here by the colonialists. That is what we're operating on today. We have tea in the country. It is taken out of the country. It is repackaged, and that is what we say. It is our business of tea. Why are we not having the world coming to Kenya to taste the coffee, the tea, the coffee that we do have, Why are we not doing that, so that from that surplus then we get to feed into the infrastructure fund and get to the developed status that we want to get there?
How can we do that when counties under devolution have not even spent money on development? How can you do that? How do you do that? Because it is in these counties where those tea farmers, for example,
where the resources are.
It is that in these counties where the coffee farmers are. It is in these counties where the pyrethrum farmers, where it was a bustling enterprise years ago, and then now it's gone. You have a sugar belt in this country. It is where the cane farmers. It is in the counties where the cane farmers are. It is in the counties where the aloe farmers are, where the sisal farmers are. It is in the counties, but we've not spent any money on development. There is currently a deal between the UAE and Kenya to provide meat products to the Gulf states. Now, the infrastructure of the agreement has been set up, but the flesh of it has not happened. What happened to when the PS Mweke told us that they were going to set this up, that across counties, whereby they are farming, where they are livestock farmers, that infrastructure will be set up for them to be able to do this? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where it happens. And now you're telling us that a report has flagged 20 counties for 0, not 1%, not 1.0. You've not spent any money on development at all. So then how do you, that thing that you're talking about, how do you expect it to happen?
Ndu, there's one day I was having a conversation with my dad, and this is what he shared with me, right? So if you look at all the counties, say, in the Nyanza region, that border, that have the lake, right? Pretty much. You can imagine if all these counties sat and decided to use that resource that they have for the benefit of everybody. So let's say they put funds together and they have a massive fishing boat, and through that boat they're able to go fish, process the fish and sell it to everybody else, and agree on how they're sharing the profits that they do get. When you talk about the sugar belt, it's again all these counties from the western part of the country, if they just sat and agreed on the prices that they will be paying the farmers, you know, if they agreed on what they're processing in terms of extra energy from all these factories, and sell that back to Kenya Power or distribute it to their locals, and how much they're going to get. Now extrapolate that to every other county. Say if you go to Mount Kenya, all the counties that do have coffee, what are they doing to have even a factory to process that coffee, so that what we're selling out is of added value? Are we thinking like that? No. We are thinking about the next election and not absorbing the 30% of development for the benefit of who again? Of the electorate and the people.
Exactly. That's it. Couldn't have said it better, my brother. Good morning. 7 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Lau Ubaga. President William Ruto has continued to attack his opponents, saying they failed to serve Kenyans when they were in power. Addressing residents in Lodwar town in Turkana County, President Ruto has continued to mock Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka for allegedly failing to implement development projects in his constituency, despite being in power for quite a long time.
Sasa mimi nataka nimuulize huyo jamaa. Okay, wacha niseme nilikosea kusema 50. Pengine ni 40. Hiyo umesema. Si ndio? Sasa nikuulize tena. In 40 years haujajenga barabara ya kwenda kwako. Unahitaji miaka ngapi? Kwa sababu 40 inaonekana ni kidogo. Unahitaji miaka 100 ngapi ndio uweze kujenga barabara ya kwenda kwako? Na kama unahitaji miaka 100 na hii ya Wakenya, si utahitaji miaka 1000 ndio uweze kupanga ya kwenda kwa Wakenya wengine?
The president has slammed Kalonzo for raising allegations that he launched the construction of a road which he says he personally and retired President Uhuru Kenyatta had launched.
Tarehe 6 December 2016, mimi na Uhuru Kenyatta tulikuwa Kibwezi, tukilaunch barabara ya Kibwezi Kitui kwenda Mbondoni. Hiyo barabara huyo jamaa anasema alilaunch. Tafuta watu wajinga, my friend, waambie hiyo story. Nyinyi mnanielewa, my friends? Si ndio? Ati hawa majamaa ndio wanajaribu kushindana na mimi. Watu wako chini sana bana, wako chini. Hawajapanga chochote. They have no plan, they have no agenda, they have no vision, they have no they have no, hawana sera. Hawa ndio watu ati we will hand over our country to such guys. Mtu mwenye hana agenda, mtu mwenye hana plan, mtu mwenye hana sera, mtu mwenye hana mpango, ati tumpatie nchi yetu. Si atatuweka kwa mtaro.
Opposition leaders are now questioning the report released about the death of former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo. Speaking after visiting Jirongo's home in Nairobi to console his family, the leaders have raised many questions about the politician's death, calling on those who were with him before his accident, or his death rather, and those who were on the bus that hit his car to speak out. DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua.
So Kenyans are asking, who are the last people to be seen with Cyrus Jirongo? Why are they quiet? Mostly they were his kinsmen. People he trusted, people he knew. Why are they quiet? We haven't heard them give a good account. Speaker Wetangula, he should have given a very good account. What was his plans? Where was he going? What was happening? And other people who are with him should come out and give clarity so that the family can be settled and Kenyans can be settled. Otherwise, we want to say pole to the family and to say that we need urgent, transparent, credible investigations so that Kenyans can be clear. There is no foreplay, there is no monkey business.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka on his part has called for transparency in the investigation into Jirongo's death.
Lakini tunataka ukweli ujulikane, udhihirike wazi, ndio wakati tukienda kumpumzisha ndugu yetu CJ, kila mmoja wetu angalau amepata kuridhika. Lakini iwapo kutatokea maneno ambayo hairidhishi, basi wa Kenya hawatakubali uzoefu wa kwamba siku hizi mtu anaweza tu kuwa banked off, kuwa taken out and life continues. We owe it to our brother Cyrus Jirongo kufuatilia kwa umakini sana swala hili, na sio tu accept and move on.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
Good morning, and I love your show. Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 7 minutes after 7 o'clock and into the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation on the 17th day of December. Glad to have you all in the room today as we get into a conversation about something that's been happening every day. It's been happening every day, every day. And we've normalized it so much that we don't think of it, that we see one and then it happens to be just another one.
Yeah.
We're going to debunk that today and look into the reasons why it should stop.
Yes.
But before we do that, you've been telling me that if I have 19 shillings in my left pocket or if I have 45 shillings in the other,
Yes.
that there's something I can do unlimited.
Yes, you can access the internet. You can stream your best movies. You can stream your best music. Yeah. You can equally be part of conversations that matter to you. You can be part of the stories. You know, those ones that you get to tell for years to come. And what are we talking about? By dialing *544# or going to Your My Airtel app or just buying the Airtel SIM card, you're able to get 1 hour, right, of unlimited data for 19 shillings and 3 hours at 45 shillings because Airtel is telling you that they are able to ensure that you're part of the process and nothing is disruptive. Today, if you want to be part of the conversations, if you do not want to miss out, Airtel is the way to go. Again, *544# or go to Your My Airtel app or simply buy the Airtel SIM card from any Airtel shop near you.
That's the way to go.
Next hour, I'm telling you how you can win yourself 3,000 shillings worth of airtime to buy these bundles.
We like this thing of winning money.
Muhimu.
Kabisa.
That's the festive season.
Exactly.
How else?
Now let me tell you how when you win that money, you can spend it and then you can win because you spent the money. I'm telling you, it's like magic. It's like EVE's unicorn. KCB Bank is launching a massive, and it's around the country. It's called the Winning Card. We're launching this card and we're talking about it. That's actually launch. This winning card, you know what it helps you do? It's your chance to turn everyday purchases into epic prizes. KCB is making their cards convenient, secure, and rewarding. It's a payment option for everything you do. Every time you use your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card, you are automatically in the running. So you could win 10,000 shillings every week. You could also snag 100,000 shillings every month. And the grand prize, a luxury wellcation, I can finally say it, experience for 2 in Zanzibar. So use your KCB card now for shopping, for fueling, or for online purchases and make your card the winning card. You can do it. You can do it with KCB. And so that's what we're saying. This card, use it. Prepaid credit, prepaid card, debit card. You can use it. You can win every week, every month. It's the card to get onto. And let's get into it this festive season. All right. So this conversation that we're having today, it sounds already like a painful one. And that is because of the fact that too many people that have been on the roads in the last 1 year have died. Too many people that have been on the roads in the last 2 weeks of December that we are already seeing is crazy. All our dailies have carried this week, one to the other. And so we're having the conversation because people are already on the road. David Njeri is with the Road Safety Association and he joins us this morning for this conversation. David, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Very much fine.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
I don't like to see you. You know why I say that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it in the way we normally imagine. Yeah. But when we have this conversation with you, it just means that things have gotten bad all over again. So in that sense, I don't want us to have this conversation. But we have to.
We have to.
But before we do, Dennis wants to share today's proverb. Lovely to hear what you think about it.
Wahenga wanasema from the African continent. So it's not from any specific country. But Wahenga wanasema, if a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne establishes forever. If a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne establishes forever. What do you think Wahenga walikuwa wanasema?
Wahenga wanted, very simple, were telling us that whatever you do, make sure you judge it with fairness. Don't look the status of somebody, whether rich or poor, because the time you make proper judgment, God in heaven knows how to pay. Nature knows how to pay. So make sure wherever you are judging, wherever you are doing any case or any judging anybody, judge him fairly.
And you just walked straight into the trap, right? Because even as we talk about judgment, right? So here's a question where today early in the morning when we're having discussion around the situation on the roads today, there's a gentleman who told us, barabara kutoka Kisumu kienda Busia. There's a judgment that is happening there, and this is a judgment of 50 bob.
Yes.
That is making the roads even more unsafe.
Yeah.
Where are we as a country in terms of dealing with the problems on the traffic rules, and why does it seem like no one wants to respect them, whether it's police or kawaida mwananchi? Everyone is just breaking the law.
I say, thank you. You are very correct. Everyone is breaking the law. When we talk of bribes, remember even who is giving is committing a crime. So the one who is taking and the one who is giving. So we have a culture, and particularly in African country, not in Kenya, we have a culture of corruption. Everybody is, whatever job you have, you just think how you can collect something. And I think that money is more sweeter than the one you earn, because because from even our leaders, corruption is everywhere. But the day we will forget about corruption, that's the day our country will grow. Because corruption kills a nation. Yeah,
it does. And if we look at the pictures and the stories just from the last 2 weeks of December, 3 dead in Grizzly Road accident, 7 dead, 8 killed, 5 dead, 4 killed. Road accident in on Thika Road, kills, 5 die, 3 injured in accident, 7 killed, several injured. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Yesterday, the numbers that we saw, look at what we're seeing today in terms of the numbers. We're seeing, a wreckage of a matatu involved in a road accident in Nyamira Saturday, killing 8. Bus car overturned in South B in Nairobi. It's not just inter-county. A matatu killed a matatu involved in a head-on collision at Chabera Trading Center at the Sondo Yugus Road in Homa Bay. 10 people dead. The wreckage, of course, of Cyrus Jirongo's vehicle that saw him dead on the Nairobi-Nakuru highway. And it continues. These are accidents that we see even up till yesterday. What's the problem? What's the cause of these accidents that we're seeing on the roads, David?
Let me say the problem is very simple. All of us, we don't want to follow the law. There is traffic rules which are never followed. And some of our road users, I just say that some are not even trained. When you go even to the school, our schools, driving schools, there's a problem. We have a problem everywhere, which purely need to be addressed. Because if we continue this way, every festive season, we are here discussing about deaths.
Yes.
And they are continuing. We are saying something has to be done. Traffic rules must be respected. And that is by everybody, even by the people who are lawmakers themselves. They don't respect traffic rules. So what is there is that when you don't respect rules, then what else do you expect? And I believe in one thing, that even God has his rules. And when you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, you know that if you don't follow these rules, then at the end there is death. The same thing. On roads, on traffic rules, if you don't respect them, the outcome, believe me or not, it is death or somebody maimed the rest of his life. So the most important thing, and it is about all of us, is about how are we using our roads. Why is it that during festive season we must see these much deaths? Why?
Everybody's going home. Everybody's going somewhere, right?
But you can move and we can go comfortably as long as you respect the law. But if you don't respect the law, what do you expect? Others even don't know, because most of our road users, like drivers, even they don't know what are traffic rules. They don't know even the name giving way, what it means. So I think it is a good time, and I have repeated this several times. 6 years down the line, we have seen a lot of corruption coming on the side of driving licenses. People are receiving driving licenses left, right. And I said, these licenses, we must do something about them. And doing something is to make sure, even if it's to cancel all of them. And when I said this, everybody was very mad with me. But what are we going to do? what is good? Do we continue seeing these deaths on our roads? No. And I said, if you look at most of these accidents, a lorry must be involved. Why? Why is it before we were talking about PSV vehicles, when things were done proper on PSV, now the PSV is not leading. Now, look at the trucks. What is going on with the trucks? It's very simple. They are not going for inspection. Somebody somewhere is eating this money. So all these small things you call small things, and accidents, you don't need to do a very big mistake. It's just a slight mistake. You can just take your phone like this, and then something is passing. What? And it's just picking that call. Things happen. It's a matter of few seconds.
I mean, David, I hear you speak, right? And whenever we have the festive season, you talk about Easter.
Yeah.
We'll still have this conversation around Easter.
Yeah.
Right? We get towards December, it is again the very same conversation, and it is year on end. Right now, we've seen the team that has been seconded, So we have the traffic department, police sending their team. We have the judiciary sending their team to ensure that our roads are safe. And one would ask the question, when it comes to licensing, of issuing licenses, it is a year-long process. When it comes to inspection, it is a daily thing that ought to happen. When you talk about respecting traffic rules, there is no single time when these rules are suspended. They are always there every other day.
Thank you.
And one would say, if we are finally to fix the problems on our roads, it is not by making things tighter or respecting the law during the festive season, but a daily occurrence that happens, and by that we build a habit, and Kenyans will get to respect the law. Are we doing it the right way? Are we doing it the wrong way? Or is it just because we are seeing the numbers go up and finally think we need to act? Shouldn't it be a daily thing that people just respect the law?
Thank you very much. In fact, you're very correct. It is sad that you see the police, the judiciary, everybody now is on the road because it's the festive season. But ask yourself, from January, we have lost over 5,000 Kenyans. 5,000. Even before we reached to December, over 5,000 people were dead before even the festive season. So road safety is not about a festive time. It is a continuous thing. Like now, when we have an accident, you'll see so many crackdowns. Ask yourself, why are you bringing crackdowns and you want to show that people that you are working? No, the police officers are supposed to be on the road always. It's not about festive season. Because, festive season, we normally lose so many people that 1 month. But can you see that the trend now has completely changed? Like now, the month of August, we have never lost as many people as the month of August. So it's supposed to be a continuous thing. It must be that drivers, even if it is to retrain them, let the retraining start so that we know that the people who are on the road, because vehicles don't cause accidents. It is the people who cause those accidents. The vehicle will go the way you drive it. So if you are having somebody behind the wheel who is properly half-baked, then what do you expect? You expect such things to happen. So what our government should do is to make sure, let's not be talking about festive season, because you'll see this will come to an end. By January 10, then everything will stop. And then we will raise the numbers again to 5,000, and then we start rushing again. Easter, and then again to Christmas time. This must be a continuous thing. Let us, I think 2026, I think even the people who are in leadership, and I always say, we really need what you call the very goodwill of the government. And for sure, and I will say this without fear and or I contradict myself, I don't know. But I want to tell you, our government has no goodwill. That is a fact. Because if you see a government with a very good will, things run, things go well. And also, we have started seeing another trend of accidents, like Jirongo, how he died. Even if you want to kill somebody, try to use a bit common sense.
Wow.
Don't just do things, because when we visited that, you even if somebody is from nursery, you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that this is state managed. And we've been saying this. We have so many accidents. We call them accidents, but every accident must be properly investigated, because many accidents are not accidents. They are crashes. And these crashes are caused by some people. Somebody want that crash to happen, because maybe there's somebody somewhere you've seen there, but you want that person to die. And you know very well that when an accident happens, there's no investigation. It is an accident. An accident is an accident. I think even now they will investigate this because it was an obvious case. But if we really woke up in the morning and found that vehicle on a truck, we'll be believing that this man crashed himself. So there are so many things happening, and I think it is time Kenyans should wake up. I even say, even our religious leaders. When there was COVID, I could see the religious leaders were talking everywhere. But this one, you sometimes wonder, even God himself, even the devil, he's worried about us. Even the devil himself, because we are killing ourselves. We are killing our people. And you can see the trend. If we continue like that 2026, I'm telling you, it is dangerous. It will be very dangerous.
What can people do? I mean, oftentimes, if a driver is speeding, and I'm just talking about public service vehicles, what can people do? A driver is speeding, maybe driving recklessly. How can they be forewarned? People who most times, if there's an oncoming vehicle who's driving on the wrong side of the road and coming at heavy speed, it's usually too late by that point if you're the vehicle on the other side of the happening. So what can people actually do in these cases that we see?
Sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes it is difficult. And sometimes it's good now, even the government, to declare this as a national disaster. Because surely it is a national disaster. When you talk of COVID, 3 years, it never killed as many people the way we are seeing in a year here. Yeah. The 3 years, we never lost more than 5,000. And you see the reaction of the government, how it reacted. When there is these terrorists, they never killed as many people as we are seeing on our roads. So something must be done, because you see even our government had to take soldiers even to Somalia to make sure that it counters the terrorists. But what are we doing? And we are losing more people here. It's as if these sacrifices, I don't know, we can call it, because what can you say? Because if people are dying, and you can see why they are dying, and there are ways and measures to be taken, and you see everybody is very comfortable. And in Kenya, like in Kenya today, when somebody dies on a road accident, it is normal. You just bury that person and everything continues.
It was an accident.
It was just an accident. But we don't do proper audit of why did that accident happen, so that we can avoid another one tomorrow.
And David, when you talk about an audit of the cause of the accidents, right? So we have to call it out as it is, right? So we have the corruption that is there, both the give and the taker. We have the police that are not upholding the law. We have drivers who are getting licenses without going to class, But then again, there is also Kenyans who, there is a zebra crossing, you don't want to use it. There is lights, you're just jumping because you feel like, si driver naniona gari yake siko na brake, let me go. But there is also the other aspect of our roads and the infrastructure that we have put in place to enable people move from one point to the other. And in very many sections, one would say, especially where they're declared black spots, it is based off the design of the road that is a danger to those who are using it. I will give you an example. Naivasha Road. One day you wake up in the morning and there is a bump the size of a casket that was put overnight, and the drivers do not know. You find people just running over this bump because they were put there. There is no marking, and these as well lead to accidents. So if you just look at the entire ecosystem on how, in terms of infrastructure, pedestrians as well, border riders, we talk about police and everyone else, how do we then approach this conversation such that everyone is doing their bit the right way, and that even structural engineers are making sure that the roads that they are putting in place are safe?
As I told you, this is about responsibility for everyone. We cannot blame one side. That's why I blame even ourselves. We should blame even ourselves. Because this is festive season, but you'll find a matatu is full and you'll find somebody getting it without fearing. Then I ask you another. I've been asking these questions. Why do we have about 297 black spots in this country? And we accept, and the government accept that this is a black spot.
They even put a billboard.
And they put a very big billboard accepting that people can die here. Let me tell you, automatically people must die there because even the government has accepted that this is a black spot.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, why is this black spot here? Is it the design? And I want to tell you, 95% of the black spots we have in this country is about the road design. So it's a matter of even, I don't know, they wait for so many people to die before they rectify that section. Anytime there is a construction of a road, we are trying to look when a road is being constructed. The engineers must leave a black spot. You don't understand why. Why do they must? And they know that whatever they have done, their people will be dying there. And why do we wait for 3-4 accidents to happen in one section and we don't do something? We have engineers. When we talk of Kenya, you cannot be employed in Kenya if you're not an engineer. But ask yourself, what are they doing? So it is, we've been having this, what you call a blame game now. Kenya will talk about NTSA will talk about the police. We will change the police from the road, bring NTSA officers, remove NTSA, bring police. But the same thing, the numbers are still going up. So it is time we ask ourselves, what problem do we have?
So maybe it's not the NTSA and the road safety or whatever. Maybe it's people that you can. Because look at the things that are happening, David, and we know that this is the truth. And I've just over the last couple of days been of the conviction that we play a large percentage of the role here. That alcohol will alter your behavior.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you swim inside the bottle and you've done that since birth. It will alter your thinking and your mechanics. But for some reason, we think it is okay to put ourselves behind the wheel after we have had a drink or 5. This thing that people chew that they say keeps them awake.
Mogoka. Gogish.
It's a drug. Okay? It affects, it alters your mechanics and your thinking. Drugs are mind-altering substances.
Yes.
But we do that and then we get behind the wheel and we say, Gari inajua? Nyumbani. Or that I've been on this road so many times, I know it like the back of my hand. They know those black spots even. They say they can close their eyes and say, tumetoka forest, tunaendelea tunafika Salga. They know. We know. This is the thing. They can do back to... You tell me, why does a driver get on the road at 6 a.m. and is going to pick a place, Nyamira, and gets to Nyamira maybe at 2, 3, and wants to wait for 1 hour and turn around and come back
to Nairobi.
In this festive season, guess what? They will get to Nairobi at 10 o'clock, and you know what they'll do? They'll rest for an hour, and they'll fill up the vehicle, and they will go back. Where does NTSA come in here?
That's why I told you we don't entirely blame NTSA. We are there to be blamed, even ourselves, because like this festive season, you realize everybody wants to be high, happy. You see, as you have said, you are comfortable. You want to drink. You want to show people that you can drink. You can have so many bottles. But let me tell you, drinking and driving is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. And now we have realized that even at the daytime, people are drinking and driving. This is what you see.
Even now.
Even as we are talking, somebody somewhere is drinking. And because akorusa, he's not worried. And achukua gari, you want to go. And when I say about drinking and driving, I believe don't use our roads when you're drunk. Because like this time, we have tried to analyze the pedestrians. We have lost a big number of pedestrians. But if you look at the time, the hour, this accident, the most people have been killed, it is from 6 to 10. We lose so many people. That means
6 in the morning.
Not in the
6
morning.
in the evening.
In the evening to 10. 11.
Okay.
Why? Ask yourself, because even some people will go drink, even if you're not driving, but you'll just close the road the way you want because you're drunk. And when you're drunk, even the way, your mind, there's no way you can calculate the way you can calculate when you're sober. So, and this person is the one who has taken himself to go and drink and then think that you can drive.
You know, when you talk about that, whenever I use Ngong Road, every day, you'll find so many clubs there, and Fridays, Saturdays, you'll find the parking lot is to the brim, you know. But just slight observation, you'll realize that on the barrier in front of these clubs, right, they have been knocked off completely. That goes to tell you that every person who's leaving these clubs, one way or the other, are unable to control the vehicles and end up going with the barriers of the road. That alone should be a wake-up call, not only just to the government, because remember that is public infrastructure that is destroyed, right? So the government should move in and ask the question, why is it that as you leave City Mortuary coming up, everything is good, but if you get to this section, we have all these barriers going, right? Ask the question. And number two, the owners of these premises that allow that people come in to drink and enjoy themselves, what is their responsibility on their customers as they leave? Because if you go to other countries, right, one would look at how you're drinking and would tell you, I think
this is your last one, man.
This is your last one. You need to go home. And others would even go further to ensure that you are not driving, leaving the parking lot because you are not in a position to drive. So businesses must continue and must thrive. The government needs taxes, but business as well must have responsibility on how much people drink, responsibility on how these people are leaving their premises. Because if outside my premise, infrastructure, roads has been destroyed, the government then will come and ask you why that is happening, and you should be able to respond. So are we all responsible, or is it mimi watu wakuje kwangu walewe waende home? Whatever else happens is none of my business.
We are all supposed to be responsible.
Yes.
What about if we are not? Now that is where the government come in.
Yeah.
Even if you go to Europe, not that these people will not drive the way we drive. They will. But because they know, even if I make a mistake, a camera has captured me, and automatically I'll be arrested. But here you are sure that whatever you do, you'll just go home comfortably. Ask yourself, why do these premises thrive when they are along our highways? Because that is where most people will just enter. Why can't we, or the government, say that we don't need these pubs just along the highways? We don't need them. Let them be at least far from the highways. So that, because I give you an example, go these kamakis, those tunazitaga nini hizo barabara zote, all that line, you will find most pubs thrive there. Because even if you are driving, you want somewhere, you just get in a bar, drink, have your 2, 3, 4, and then you just go. Yeah. But this has killed so many people. And yes, even the government should realize this, that yes, even those people who are doing this business should realize that you need that person tomorrow. Because if he takes whatever he gives you money and he'll never come there back because he's killed himself, what profit or what do you gain? So the best thing is everybody must be responsible. Everybody must be responsible. Even the what do you call it? These people who make this beer, also they should be responsible. There are places you cannot sell because you want to sell to your clients most of the time. But if all these people, like we were trying to do some analysis, we have lost personal vehicles, private vehicles, drivers. This time they were about number 3, number 4. You can imagine, most of them, the drivers were drunk. And what I want to say this time during this festive season, be very careful. Because today, if you go to all car hires, all vehicles are gone. Where have they gone? They have gone with people who have not properly trained. Everybody wants to show his people in his Oshags that he lives in Nairobi, and Mungu alimsaidia kanunua gari na nikuhaya amehaya. Those vehicles most of the time huwa hazirudi. So let us, we must face this thing now on a very serious way. Not the way we just come, talk, leave it. It's NTSA, it is the police, it is Kenha. All of us, we need now to have a dialogue and think, what are we supposed to do? What did Michuki do? Michuki did nothing. He's just enforced these laws. These laws need to be enforced. That's why there is the government. And that is why I told you the goodwill of the government. Because some of these laws are not enforced. But if these laws can be properly enforced, I'm telling you, the accident will come down automatically.
Okay, this is so. I mean, there's that part of the what we do as because it could not be me, but it's collective, so it's we. But then we also see, just looking at some reports here, that overspeeding and then not being able to gauge the distance between, yourself and an oncoming vehicle is another major factor towards, a lot of the accidents that we see on the road. That an oncoming vehicle is speeding, has gone out of their lane to try and catch up, and is not able to gauge the distance between the two. And unfortunately, we've seen many. Is there a way for this particular one to then be sorted out? Is it?
In fact, we are saying 2026. We must check on that, because 60% of the accident which has killed the Kenyans is overspeeding. And I think we need to have a proper dialogue, because if you see the vehicles, if you see a big lorry overspeeding, if something happens, the damage is too much.
It's massive.
And that is why in our country, these trucks must adhere to the set speed of 80 kilometers per hour. There are speed governors which were brought in place. They are not in these vehicles. Now we must start asking why. Why is this not happening? And unless we start asking ourselves these questions, and that is why as an association, we thought otherwise. Instead of every time looking, okay, we do our audits, we realize that this has happened. But when we looked at all these things, you realize that most of these people who are employed by the government to take care of our lives, they are not doing their job. All what they do, corruption. So we decided now that everybody must work. So if you are a police officer, and I'm very happy we have a very good commander who is a bit new, but he's working. We have agreed with him. There's no way you can finish this corruption, because anybody, even sometimes you talk of corruption, but sometimes ask yourself, if you are on that road, utakuta umechukua hiyo hongo. So the best thing is what can we do to make sure that these people don't collect that hongo? I introduced to them like the double cam jacket, whereby these are used in other countries, whereby every officer going on the road, he has the dash cam jacket, so that any discussion is discussing with the driver, another person is watching. We also need these cameras. For instance, we have so many cameras in this country, but you realize they are only used when there's a crime. Only when somebody like Jirongo has been killed, everybody's asking, there were cameras there. This is the time the cameras are used. But these cameras should be used. That was government money. The cameras which Safaricom did, government used a lot of money. But ask yourself, what are they doing? We are talking of adding cameras, but we are not using what we have. Before we think about adding more cameras, why can't we use what we have? Because if they can use those cameras, and somebody driving knows that if I overspeed or I am not driving well on this section, tomorrow I'll be followed. Today, let me tell you, today, believe me or not, if I get the registration of your vehicle, I even know who the owner is
Yes.
and where he stays. Because all the data is there. Why can't we use that? That's what used in other countries. And already cameras are there. So when I hear people saying we should have cameras, why can't we use what we have?
What we have. You know, David, there's a joke that keeps running around, right? So the other day, Eldoret, the city, was cameras were installed. And when they were installed, pretty much the town almost came to a standstill because you find it is a new thing and people don't know how to use them. Yeah. And one would just pause and ask, okay, fine, you are a driver. You went through driving classes. You understand what red, what amber, what green means. Why is it difficult to then use this facility that has just been installed to make your life easy? And goes back to the other question, the other conversation we are having in terms of who are these people who are on the roads and what kind of licenses do they have? If just reading the simple instructions by a traffic light is a problem. You know, and you also look at Kenyans and the monies that the government has spent to put in place infrastructure, signage, and ensuring that you get to cross the road in the right place. And we do not follow that. You know, you follow that together with a police officer that you say you told the commander haitawahi isha, corruption, iko hapo on a daily basis, but. You read and remember what Mishuki did, and all he did was implement that which is there. Yeah. Kenya does not need new laws in terms of manning the traffic rules in the country. We do not need to have new officers sent during festive season. All we need to do is implement the already existing laws. But why then don't we have political goodwill that Mishuki was accorded back then to make it a success? Is it that the government that does not care, or is it that they're dealing with bigger things and traffic rules is not important, despite the fact that 5,000 people are dying every year?
One, as I said from the beginning, the goodwill of the government. We should ask ourselves, who benefit from these accidents? Who really benefit?
Somebody benefits from accidents.
Yeah, of course. Many people benefit from these accidents. How? We have people who are getting rich within no time. We call them like the ambulance chasers. These ambulance chasers work with police, work with doctors in hospitals, work with... And it's a game involving so many things. When these accidents, for instance, don't happen, there are people who will get poor, because they get whatever they get from those accidents. We have lawyers who really benefit from them. And even our law is not very clear, because you see today, if you have an accident, and for instance, you are supposed to be paid, you don't get that money direct. There is a law which should be changed, whereby it is your lawyer who will be given the money to give you. So many lawyers don't give anybody. And when an accident happens, maybe 3 people are dead there. Then there are people who will benefit from there, and they will even raise these figures. If you go, many insurance are going under. Why? Claims. Because of these claims.
Okay. This is very interesting, because to imagine that somebody, well, I mean, it's not too far-fetched, because it can be a possibility in the minds of people, but then to imagine that people thrive off of that is interesting. I want to go into a part of this conversation that we've not been in, looking at the numbers that have come out, especially after the CJ made the announcement that more people are going to be put on the roads in order to make sure that the wanton corruption that we see then doesn't occur during this festive season. First of all, and really quickly, a quick answer. What are the reasons that police officers are on the road right now? And this is highways, this is county roads, this is, inter-county roads. Why are police officers on the road? Officially, before you give the answer I know you want to give.
Now, all the police now. In fact, we see all the department of the police are brought on the road this festive season.
Not just traffic police?
Not just traffic police. Because traffic police are not many. But ask yourself, why at this time? Why were they not there in January? Why do we react when things are happening? Why don't we follow the law? All what we need is follow the law. Forget about all this drama.
Yeah.
The court will be on the road. The police will be on the road.
NTSA.
All that is drama. Michuki did not do all those things. Let us implement the laws which are there. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so what's the reason they're on the road? They're to be overseeing traffic. We're going to get you some water in a bit. But we're overseeing traffic. Are they overseeing traffic? That's why they're on the road? That's what you said?
Yeah,
all right.
It's just about traffic.
Okay. Now, these are the numbers that we're looking at from yesterday, all right? And the official, unofficial numbers. You're using a mobile phone while driving. These are the common minor traffic offenses and penalties.
Yes.
Using a mobile phone while driving, you're breaking rule number 559A1 of the Act. The penalty is 2,000 bob.
Yeah.
All right? Failure to wear a seat belt. 22A 3 and 4 is what you're breaking. Penalty is 500 shillings. Passenger boarding, alighting outside authorized stops, you're breaking 66, and the amount is 1,000 shillings. Picking, dropping passengers outside authorized stops is 3,000 shillings. Failure to obey traffic signs, that comes to 3,000 shillings. Failure to obey lawful directions of a police officer, pakgari up a letter license, 3,000 shillings. Speeding, exceeding the speed limit by 6 to 10 kilometers per hour, you have to pay 3,000 bob. Exceeding the speed limit, I'm sorry, that's you have to pay 500 shillings. Exceeding the speed limit by 11 to 16 kilometers per hour, we're going to ask you for 3,000 shillings. Rider or passenger without protective gear on the back of a motorcycle, such a thing is 1,000 bob. Failure to carry or produce a driving license on demand is 1,000 shillings. Failure to renew your driving license is 1,000 shillings. Driving without valid license endorsement for vehicle class is 3,000 bob. Failure to exhibit your plates is 1,000 shillings. Obstructing traffic by leaving your vehicle on the road, just like that, 10,000 shillings. Driving on or through a pavement, the way we see it done every day, is 5,000 bob. Now, this is officially.
Yeah.
But truth of the matter is that a lot, if not all of this money goes into the pockets of police officers, or you're asked to, from what we're told, withdraw from this number or this pay bill, whatever the case may be. So these folks are on the road where we think or imagine that folks are on the road for traffic rules and all of that. They're on the road to get this money.
Yeah, sure.
Because people will make mistakes every day, as they do.
Yeah.
But they're on the road to get this money.
Yes.
Where there's the maintenance of law and order on the road is exacerbated by the presence of police officers on the road.
Yeah.
Is it true that we behave worse because of the presence of police on the road? If they were not there, would we be behaving better from what you see?
Let me say, sometimes this police help. Let us say that there is a lot of corruption.
Yeah,
which is okay. That one we have to deal with it. But it is also important to know that when the police are there on the road, some people behave. And what you are saying with Kome, what she's doing, I think is the right way. She's doing it in the right way, whereby now our courts are there, instant fines will reduce this corruption. And when you give like now those fines, the way you're reading them, you know that I've committed this offense, I'm supposed to pay 1,000. If I have that 1,000 I pay, I'm through.
If you don't,
because if you don't pay that money, that time your vehicle is you're arrested or whatever happens to you. But those instant fines will really help. But when I come on the side of the road safety, the safety of the people, that will not help, because they will maybe they cannot be all over a road like now Mombasa Road. They'll be specific in a certain place, and people will behave in that specific place. We need to have mobile vehicles moving, whereby you know very well whatever you do, you are caught up with you. But when you tell me today you go the Thika Road, you put a roadblock somewhere. Everybody within a very short time, they know that there is this roadblock.
They're going to run away.
Somewhere.
Yeah. They tell each other.
And they communicate.
Yeah.
So wherever the accident will happen, will not happen on that roadblock. But after that load broke, that's the time you'll see an accident has happened. So what is there? The police should be on the road every day. We don't want even to hear these things called crackdowns. We don't want to see that it is festive season. Now we have so many police on the road. No, we need them on the road.
Okay. I'm sorry, but this money that they're collecting, this money that we've read out, this list, where does that money go? Who's collecting this money? Does it go to a bank somewhere? I remember a very good friend of mine, Eric Lassif, went to Tanzania and he made a mistake on the road. And on the spot, he was fined and he could see in the system where that money went. He paid the fine, did the business. The lady cop told him, carry on, go on your way. This money, where does this money that's being collected here, where does it go to?
Let me tell you, they are creating a lot of corruption here, first in the first place, because Kenyans should be knowing that if I'm caught, I'm supposed to pay to this pay bill.
Yes.
That goes direct to the court.
Yeah.
But here you are told you've been doing this, bring this money.
Yeah.
That money you give the police officer. Do you think that police officer will take that money anywhere? That is their money. So it's also another way of corruption. And let me tell you, there are people who are very comfortable. I told you, in this situation, there are people who benefit. Like now, the police officer and NTSA, this is their time to celebrate because they will be making that money, as you are saying. But if today you know, even when you are driving, that if I'm caught and this is 1,000 and I'm supposed to put in this pay bill number, the pay bill number should be everywhere. Everybody knows about it. So that immediately you are caught. And when you go to developed countries, you pay through a system.
Yeah.
Even yourself, you'll see that you have paid that money. It is in the system. And even maybe on your phone, utaona that money has gone to the judiciary. But this one, they have given and they are on the road and there is no account and they are not telling us, are we going to pay via M-Pesa or pay, okay, if you are paying via M-Pesa, which number is this you are supposed to put this money?
Let me give you an example. There's a time I was driving along Thika Road and I had a flat tire. So I put the vehicle aside to change the tire. I was on a service lane, and with all my cons and everything, so that I'm safe, I'm able to change my tire. A police officer comes and asks, "What's the problem?" I have a flat tire, so I'm changing the tire. And he proceeds forward to say, "Vuta huyu jamaa." So he came with his tow truck and whatever, and they pulled me. And we get to the police station, and this gentleman decides that he wants to put me on the stage and not get me inside the police station. So I tell him, I'm sorry, but take me inside the police station, and we conduct this business inside the police station. So I tell him, fine, you arrested me because I had a flat tire, but I don't know where my mistake is because I was not obstructing anyone. And he says, the first thing I need to do is pay 5,000 shilling to the tour guy. To the tour guy. I told him, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not going to pay this guy because this is a civilian. Any money that I'm paying is on 222. That President William Ruto said any government business is being conducted. And the officer had a problem because at that point, the individual needed to be paid because he has been hired. Telling the officer, that's your business with him, because the person who's arrested me is you, who is the government of Kenya. And the officer insisted that I pay the 5,000 shillings. I said no. He took me to court Wednesday, I remember. And even before I went to court, he called me back and asked me to take my car and go because I had not broken any law. That is in this Kenya. It happened to me. That is my story. Which then begs the question, have our roads just turned to be a business enterprise?
Deal networks.
Deal networks. Because even when you are arrested, where do you take the money to?
That's what I want.
Where is it going to?
So
because if you say 222, fine, it's 222, and then how do I get to say the judiciary is account for me to say I have this message and I can show that I paid the fine and that it is the government is the custodian of the funds.
And if I can quickly just add a question onto that, is that even with this now recent announcement of the CJ that there will be added personnel on the road during this festive season, it has already started to spark the mind of people that they're already saying to themselves, which way are we going to use on the roads today to avoid this thing, which then raises the risk profile on the roads already, whether we like to admit it or not. So then how do you deal with that?
In the first place, as I told you, you can now imagine, as he has said, put that roadblock anywhere. Kenyans will know where the roadblock is. So it is making no sense. We are losing more Kenyans at night. Will they be there at night?
Okay.
So all these questions, we have so many vehicles at the daytime, and that is the time the money can be collected. But at night is when we are losing a big number of people. Will they be there? No. So the thing is whatever they are doing, I'm not in agreement. When I go to road safety issues, it is not going to save anything. People will continue dying. Accident will continue happening because that driver, and when they are going, I don't know whether they'll be having the Okoh bro. I don't know. Have they written when somebody is drunk how much is charged? I don't know. Because we have the PSV drivers who are going on drinking when they're on the road. We have Buddha riders who are drinking and they are riding these bicycles. What are they doing with these people? There are very small things they can do. These are just a way of collecting money. This is another way of getting revenue. And even that revenue, it will, at the end of it, most of this money will go to people's pocket, not to the government. And it's a market which has been opened for those who are doing the job to get money. It's another market. But it has nothing to do with road safety. The government is not going to benefit from it. We are saying we are in the festive season. Can the law be followed?
Okay.
Can the law be followed? Can the police be on the road to make sure that vehicles are not overspeeding? Can they use these cameras to know who is doing this? Can they make sure that even if it means using Okoh bro at the daytime, when they only do that, we will reduce these accidents. But all the other things they are doing, they'll go on the road. This is just a drama on some people to enrich some people. Yes.
I mean, we're coming to the close of this, but I mean, I guess for people to know your traffic laws, don't, for God's sake, don't drink and drive. And overspeeding, you overspeed for 30 seconds, but then life is lost. There's damage of property, and just a very scary imagination on the road. What would be your last words? We're getting into this is the weekend where people start to travel proper. David, what are your last words in terms of caution?
I would like to tell the listener today that it is about your life. This is not about the government. Let it be corrupt. Let the police be corrupt. Let NTSA be corrupt. But it is about your life. Make sure that you observe the traffic rules. Make sure, because during this time, we'll lose so many people. You should not be counted to those people who are going to lose life this Christmas time or this festive time. And it is about you and your life. It's about your behavior on the road, because you are going to use that road. Please make sure that you are careful. If it's a driver and you know that you are taking people to their places to be happy and with their families, please make sure that you follow the law. Don't drink, don't drive. Make sure that you take your passengers, make sure that they are, check your vehicle. It is a good vehicle before you take that vehicle on the road. And we have so many vehicles which now will be on the road and they have not been on the road for 1 year. But now, because it's a time for festive season, please take care. Think about it again. It is about your life. Any time you exceed the speed, the more chances of you dying. By the time you are increasing the speed, try to move. You will reach where you are going. Overspeeding kills. Speeding, and I want to say something which I saw somewhere, that the speed which you are moving your vehicle with is the same speed your body is moving.
The impact it will get.
So if that vehicle is stopped, you will move with that speed outside
until it stops.
Until it stops. So please, it is you. Please know that we are just trying to tell you, take care of yourself by taking care of our laws. Let the traffic laws be followed by everybody.
Yes. David Njeri with the Road Safety Association has been here with us this morning. An important conversation that we may not want to listen to, but it is necessary for us to, so that we save life. Thank you for being here this morning. As we get into the season, please, folks, be careful and do what you can do to ensure that life is protected. Asante Sana at 2 minutes past 8 o'clock. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. President William Ruto is today expected to visit Migori County. Reports indicate that the president will grace the ongoing Pini Luo Festival, an annual festival which is being hosted at Rongo University. Ruto is also expected to tour several parts of Nyatike, including Thimlich Ohinga. Hey, what a beautiful name. A UNESCO World Heritage Site and Senye Beach. This comes a day after detectives uncovered and safely removed explosive devices that had been planted along Nyatike Bridge in Migori County, a road the president was to use during his tour in the region. Police say a multi-agency presidential advanced security team retrieved 7 pieces of gel explosives and a detonating cord measuring about 2 meters that had been concealed at the edge of the bridge, approximately 4 kilometers east of Macalda police station. Investigators noted that the hole in which the devices were planted appeared to have been drilled using a compressor machine, with preliminary findings suggesting the explosives may have been placed at the site several months ago. A post-mortem is set to be carried out on the body of former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo at Lee Funeral Home. Jirongo's body has been kept at the facility in Nairobi since it was brought in on Saturday morning following an accident in Naivasha. The autopsy, initially set for Tuesday, was postponed. Former Westlands MP Fred Guma, who visited Jirongo's current residence alongside other opposition leaders, emphasized the importance of the exercise to address a lot of questions being asked. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka also underscored the need for transparency and the truth on what happened before they lay him to rest. This event comes as DCI have launched investigations.
Ukweli ujulikane, udhihirike wazi, ndio wakati tukienda kumpumzisha ndugu yetu CJ, kila mmoja wetu angalau amepata kuridhika. Lakini iwapo kutatokea maneno ambayo hairidhishi, basi wa Kenya hawatakubali uzoefu wa kwamba siku hizi mtu anaweza tu kuwa banked off, kuwa taken out and life continues. We owe it to our brother Cyrus Jirongo kufuatilia kwa umakini sana swala hili, na sio tu accept and move on.
This event comes as DCI have launched investigations into the matter. At least 13 billion shillings is required to purchase food amid a worsening drought that has left more than 2.1 million people facing hunger across 32 counties, the government has revealed. Now, 10 counties including Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Kilifi, Kitui, Marsabit, Kwale, Kajiado, Isiolo and Tana River are already in critical need of urgent food, water and medical assistance. Several others remain on high alert, including Samburu, Turkana, Taita Taveta, West Pokot, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, Njeri, Laikipia, Narok, Baringo, Makueni, Meru and Lamu. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki said 7 billion Kenya shillings is required for human food, water and medicine over the next 3 months, and 6 billion shillings for livestock support, including food, water and an animal off-take program for 6 months.
Interventions require for the next 6 months human related interventions for food, nutrition, health, and related issues, livestock related interventions, including animal feed, offtake of livestock that would otherwise die, and a few other animal health related interventions.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 8 minutes after 8 o'clock and into the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Wednesday. And there's a song. If you've got money in your pocket. Okay, I just made it up. But if you've got money in your pocket, there's something you can be doing with Airtel right about now.
Yes. If you have money in your pocket, remember, it is even more affordable for you this festive season. You get to save a little bit of cash and spend it on your family and make merry, you know? What am I talking about? Because if you have 19 shillings, you get to have an hour of unlimited data. If you have 45 shillings, it is 3 hours of unlimited data. Airtel called it Airtel Unlimited Fun Data Bundles that you get to use in everything that is fun this festive season. Talk about streaming your music, watching your movies, because this is the time for you to be with family and friends. Now, you can imagine a situation where we are going on break.
Yeah.
You're singing me melodies because it is my birthday on 25th. And because we are on Zoom, what happens? Internet does that thing. It leaves me hanging, and I don't get to enjoy your beautiful sound and melodies, you know. And that is exactly what happens when you have a data plan that is not unlimited. And Airtel is telling you, just dial *544# or go to your My Airtel app that you can download on App Store or on Google Play, or buy yourself an Airtel SIM card from any Airtel shop that you get to be able to enjoy all these offers and favors that Airtel is giving you. Remember, give us your story. I've given you my story that I don't want to be part of. So that means I am on Airtel to be part of listening to Ndu sing for me in the morning. What is your FOMO? Talk to us on our social media platforms, and you have an opportunity to win 3,000 shillings courtesy of Airtel. Christine will be getting in touch with you, and what a better way to get 3,000 shillings this festive season.
Absolutely. And even when we look into it, there is the KCB winning card. Do you have one in your pocket? I'm going to need you to get one, because KCB has a card for everybody. Are you a young professional, a busy family, or a high net worth individual? KCB has got you covered. They offer a full suite of credit, debit, and prepaid cards partnered with the biggest global names, MasterCard, Visa, Union Pay. And so wherever you go, you can be guaranteed that as you use your card, it's going to be approved. That's global acceptance right in your wallet. Stop fumbling with cash. We've passed that one. Get the secure, flexible power of a KCB card and dominate your spending, whether you're managing a corporate account or just paying for coffee. KCB cards, your card, your way. And where are you going to be using your card as you get into the festive season?
Naivas.
There you go.
You know why exactly? Because during this Christmas season, Naivas is coming in big, you know, because they are coming in to ensure
that through the Naivas Kikwetu Mbuzi Daily is a reality all the way to the 24th, and plus the chicken giveaways every day until the Christmas Eve. Now, but listen up. This is your winning moment. People are already walking away with cars, motorcycles, and massive electronics in the ongoing Naivas Kikwetu promotion. And do you want to be part of this? Do you want to be part of this? It is very simple. How do you do that? You shop using your Naivas loyalty card, and every purchase gets you closer to winning big. Remember, Naivas is your ultimate one-stop shop for everything fresh food. Talk about new appliances and all Christmas decor. Head down to the new store in Tatu City, Gashie, or our one mall, Magadi today, and keep that loyalty card handy. I will be telling you how else you get to enjoy using Naivas in the next hour.
Indeed.
Katu Hapa.
And then, just before we get into our conversation and you're thinking about what your plan might be, the folks at ICA Lion are waiting for you to tell them that you're thinking about it, because they can actually help you get it sorted out. You're thinking, okay, what do I want to do? I have some extra float and I'm thinking about next year, next 10 years, what is the situation going to look like? Well, ICA Lion is saying you don't have to plan alone. You can just come to us and we'll have that conversation. You've been doing so well in everything that you've been doing, putting a shilling aside, and you're telling yourself, everybody has a plan, but what about me? The feeling of needing to get your future locked down is real. But when you're thinking about it, getting a plan doesn't have to be intimidating or elitist. That's why I'm talking about ICA Lion. They're cutting through the noise and making financial planning relatable. And whether you're just starting out or looking to secure a comfortable retirement, they have plans to help you build wealth, to protect your assets, and to prosper with retirement security. Stop worrying about the future and start planning for it. Get the easy personal plan that works for you. The question is, what's your plan? Go to www.icalion.co.ke today. And we're getting into a conversation this hour, and that word plan is going to feature quite often in that conversation today. Our guest is in the hot seat, and we're going to be looking at Parliament on a weigh scale. Coming out of 2025 into 2026, Dr. Martin Olo is an advocate and political analyst, and he's here with us this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Do. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I'm glad to be here. I hope this is the last show that you want us to do this year, because after this, I want to go to the village to enjoy that airtime and bundles you've been talking
you
about.
can use your Airtel bundles in the village. You don't even have to worry about it.
I'm tired of this city.
It's the strongest network.
But I'm happy that there's only one Dennis for today, so I'm okay. I feel safe.
Well done. Are you going to be driving down to the village?
Yes.
We need you to be careful as you do that.
So I'll be driving at 80 kph. Let trouble find me, but I'm not going to look for it.
Thank you very much. That's what we want to hear.
And it's not going to find me either.
Amen.
Amen.
Kabisa.
Good.
Welcome. We'll have that conversation because it could be the last one for this year.
Yes.
Because the time is going, and folks at Parliament are on recess, and they'll come back in the new year with a lot on the in tray, and that's what we'll be looking at today. But let's start off with the proverb for today.
Yes, the proverb is from the continent, no specific country, right? So it is the ancestors, those that started this continent called Africa, right? But it says, if a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne is established forever. How would you interpret it?
Sounds biblical. Because really, what humanity is called to is to be fair to itself, and especially to be fair to its downtrodden. And whoever dispenses justice, whoever is fair, is likely to be immortalized, whether you are a king or whether you are a leader. So that when you look at the Bible, these people like Solomon, they are famed for wisdom. He said, look, anything, wisdom. So if you're wise, you would be careful to be just. And when you are just, your name is immortalized. So, spot on.
Absolutely. Real quick, give us a scorecard of how Parliament has performed in this year, where we're going into recess now, and that there have been many things that have come on Parliament's table, and there's also been a lot of blame that has been laid at Parliament's feet in terms of what they've been or not been able to do. If you gave a scorecard from a policy and governance point of view, what would that be?
Yeah, very, very interesting, and this is the place to begin. There are two ways of scoring this Parliament. One is on governance and policy, and I'll give them 3 out of 10.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
The other one is to to assess them on their ability to be psychophantic and their ability to connect with what matters to them, I'll give them 10 out of 10. Because they have been extremely predictable in terms of their ability to sing songs of praise and to succumb to the whims of their masters. And they have their masters both in terms of the people and in terms of the executive. These parliamentarians actually know why they're in parliament. The more they sing their praises, I saw the other one telling the president, sell everything that you have, sell it. So they seem to know what to do in terms of their pockets and in terms of their self-serving interests. But do they know what's good for this country? Do they legislate? Do they actually create policy ecosystem that works? Absolutely no. And that's why I give them 3 out of 10. And I'm a teacher, so when I give you 3 out of 10, that's a fail. Yeah, you need to rethink.
What would be the indicators for that really low mark? What are the indicators for you to say, you didn't do your assignment, this group project that you worked on, you did, below par? What are the indicators for that?
The big 3.
Okay.
1, the ability to oversight the executive. Whether it is in health services or education services, or just mention how the executive has performed on those ones. Where has been the ability to scrutinize? Not from Parliament. 2, when you look at their ability to legislate and their ability, therefore, to provide this country with stability between implementing the Constitution and fidelity to the rule of law, they come out a cropper. Most of the laws they are passed, including the cyberspace and cyber crimes and so on, have fallen below the threshold of constitutionality. So that again gives them a negative score on that. And the third issue, which is big on issues of Parliament, is representation. You see, the business of Parliament is oversight. The business of Parliament is legislation. And the business of Parliament is representation. So when they speak, do they look and do they appear like they are giving a fair attempt at representing the Kenyan public, particularly on matters governance, on matters policy? There again they come out a cropper as an institution, because basically you're saying that if you have a stronger parliament doing better oversight, doing better legislation and doing serious representation, you would get the equilibrium that there's of course the whole discussion around issues to do with separation of powers and issues to do with the 3 arms of government. The checks and balances only operate when any of these organs is exercising this in a manner that offers oversight, a manner that offers confidence in terms of the rule of law.
Yeah. Okay. When you look at Parliament that we have and the roles that they are supposed to do, so we talk about representation, oversight, and legislation. And one would say you've given them 3, right? But this is an opportunity for them to go back to their people, to speak to Momanyi, and that is where rubber meets the road. Do they have anything to tell Momanyi?
That's why I told you that there are 2 sides of this coin. If you look at what their core business is, they come a cropper. But is that core business resonating with their constituency?
Yes.
Now I want you to see that there are 2 constituencies they care about. One is that they reflect the majority of their constituencies where the corruption and anything goes. So they know that and by the way, you have heard some people say that it doesn't matter whether you talk in Parliament or not. What matters is whether you have the ground on. So they have an idea, and for sure those MPs who say nothing in Parliament, bring no motion in Parliament, some of them are very popular on the ground. Why is it so? Because they resonate with their people in the sense that if it's about tokenism, they know how to assuage them with tokenism. They know how to meet them at their point of need. The other day you saw somebody going to church and saying, I'm going to give you 57 million. That is a kind of stuff that those who know what their people want thrive on. So the point is, and on that level, they seem to be okay in terms of, they seem to be resonating with their people. They seem to be in sync. Some of them will come back on that account, but you also know that our people also abandon their leaders, or their leaders also abandon their people as soon as they have entered an agreement. And in most cases, we see more MPs being bundled out. Do we see them coming? Do we see them being replaced by better people? Absolutely not. No. So the game seems to be the same. And the lessons seem to be that we are not learning.
So, Wakili, you paint a picture of Mwananchi or a citizen within that gives this power to these legislators to continue doing the wrong things, to continue not delivering in Parliament, because when they come back to us, we listen to them, we take the loot that they have brought back to us because they understand the ground. If the ground as well understood the requirements of a member of Parliament and held them up to account, then perhaps we would see a difference in terms of how we weigh them on the scale.
Absolutely. And I want us to also get into our history.
Yeah.
You've heard of the Wangwa Makeris of this Kenya. You have heard of Koitalel Samoei of Rift Valley. You've heard of people like Mary Chelagat, the MPs. You've heard of people like Martin Shikuku, people like Masinde Mlu. There were people in this country who are elected to do exactly what the people wanted. In other words, the people wanted people who were vocal, people wanted people who could stand no nonsense. They fought against injustice. There was a history that we had where, people who were vocal against the colonialists are the people that ended up getting a seat in terms of the Legco or in terms of getting into the National Assembly and so on. That history we have. So there's a time when we loathed unfairness. There's a time when we wanted people who could fight for us. People like Tom Mboya, people like Jaramogi. There was a time in this country we wanted people like that. And then slowly, people like Martin Shikuku began to be relevant in our eyes because they were talking about the people's watchmen. And the watchmen, the people that were being talked about, refused to just stand by. They wanted tokens. And so people like Shikuku began to lose ground because the kind of politics they were having and the kind of expectations that people were having were increasingly. So we have this new bundle of people. Today, our kind of politicians are these flashy guys with V8s and unexplained sources of money.
And red bottoms.
And red bottoms, as you put it. So that is the society of today, and those are the leaders of today. So whatever we see is reflective of what the kind of citizens we have today and the kind of leaders they expect to see today.
Right. So even as you say this, Wakili, then it comes into my mind that if we're looking at Parliament specifically, and this involves the National Assembly and Senate, right? Both of these houses, and that these are elected, except for those who've been nominated, these are elected positions that are supposed to be a representation of the people. Now, I think about the private sector, and that if somebody gave you a job in the private sector, that they demand of you to do certain things, and that if you don't do it, you're put on something called a performance review. And they've given you a period of time within which you must either prove your mettle or they ask you to exit the position and they can bring somebody else who can. We are able to keep, in that sector, we're able to keep people. And this is done by anybody across board. This is done by a manager in their 30s or a manager in their 60s. This is done across board by a, HR, talent officer, whatever the case may be. We're able to do that. But for some reason, we're not able to hold these individuals who you have delegated your sovereignty and power to and pay them a salary in order to do this. We're not able to keep them accountable. Now, is it because we don't know what they're supposed to do, or we do not know that we have the power to actually do that?
You see, there are two ways of looking at this, and I'm amplifying both ways. There are those of us sitting in this room and in this station who know what an MP needs to do and who would rather have the MP do governance, do oversight, and do all those things. We are in a different league. Maybe civil society, the Chapter 15 Constitution commissions, the Chapter 15 of the Constitution's commissions have the mandate to keep calling out for that. But those that are called the citizen, the voter, we have given them an opportunity to do a recall of their members of parliament. The question is, what is the kind of recall clause that is there and whether it can be effective? We've also asked members of parliament to tell us how that is, and they have made sure that they make it difficult for them to be recalled. Now that's another story. So what we are left with is that general election that that every 5 years ritual where we come in and we say, okay, you didn't seem to perform to our expectations, so we are going to kick you. So I want to say that when you are looking at the MPs and you're looking at their rating or looking at their performance, they tend to be rated differently or vetted differently, because it is either the political party that's bringing them, and most of these guys came in because they were wearing the right colors and they were in the right position. They never came in on any other credentials. The yellow was trending in your area, you made sure you won the color yellow, you're okay. Or the orange was trending in your area, you made sure you wore the color orange and you didn't have to have any other agenda. Or if you were on the other side and there was the umbrella that you found yourself hiding under, you went under the umbrella. So having said that, what we are dealing with here is people whose own origin or whose ascendance to the stage is determined by other parameters. What was the trending party and how did you come? Number one. Number two, what were people's perceptions? What were they looking for? Were you able to resonate with them? Yes, you resonated with them. They elected you. So these are people that begin from a strength. One, their party. Two, the constituency seems to be okay with them. And three, they also know how to play around with their constituents. So if they know there's a problem, they know how to go back there and take it on. So we are also dealing with an institution here that is not necessarily accountable and does not necessarily have to record anything in terms of their performance. And how it is vetted is different. Look at the opposite, which is the judiciary or the executive. The executive knows that it has to make rules, it has to make laws, or you work with the parliament to make laws, but it has to implement. Yes. It has to deliver roads and so on. When you look at it in this current constitution, the issue of how resources are actually allocated is determined by the parliament. But when you look at members of parliament, they go to State House to say tunataka barabara. So you look at it and say, what is this drama all about? So we have a situation where we need to revisit our basics and keep on understanding that unless we are in tune with what we think is good governance, what we want as policy, and what we want as effective representation, we will still find ourselves at that nexus where we elect today and we cry throughout. Remember, this government, for example, was supposed to be a Mama Mboga government. It is far from Mama Mboga, but Mama Mboga voted for it. Now it's very far from Mama Mboga. But they are now going to have to look for another narrative so that come 2026, they will be having another narrative.
But they already have one now.
Yes.
We're going to the first world. We're going to the developed world. We're going to the first world.
You know, now that's the biggest lie that you can ever have.
No, why?
No, listen to me. Listen to me. Singapore is a port city. Okay?
Yes.
Singapore is like Mombasa. Kenya has only one Mombasa and maybe one other Lamu or a few places. So how do you tell me that Kenya will look like Singapore? A port city. This country that has such an ecosystem, Northeastern, Turkana, Nyanza, Rift Valley. We are so different. So it's so illusionary for anybody to tell you that we will be like Singapore. We are not a city port. We are not a port city country. Singapore, we can never be like Singapore. Never. So even if you wanted to stretch your dream, unless you are talking about Mombasa being transformed into a city that looks like Singapore, Dubai, whatever you want to say. But if you say Kenya will look like Singapore,
maybe it's the idea. But isn't that what we do? That we sell ideas and we sell the possibility. We can sell the possibility of the developed world experience, and that's what folks are saying. It was interesting because the chairman of KRA in Dorita Morelli spoke with me yesterday, and he said, this thing is achievable if we get all our shenanigans out of the way, and that could be what is being sold. That the dream or the idea of a dream for Kenyans, that you could be here and make your way there, is what you would ride on, because Mama Mboga clearly didn't work.
No, let's be together on this. The Mama Mboga phenomenon remains a reality today. The talk about the bottom heavy, in other, the bottom is still as big as we know it today. So if you are going to invert that bottom, therefore, unless you invert that bottom, in order for you now to look at everybody being within the bracket of development, talking about a first world is a mirage. It is an illusion. It can only be something that you inspire people who have no idea where they need to be. But if you have people who know where they want to go, like myself, I'll tell you, forget it. If you cannot fix basics, you cannot fix health, you cannot fix education, you cannot fix infrastructure, housing. If you are telling me, and this is the other thing, do, and Dennis, you need to agree, affordable housing. You are telling a fellow who is living in his home and who is enjoying his livestock and so on, you are telling him about affordable housing, and what are you telling him? That they should now leave their villages to come and stay in an apartment? What are you telling them? What is that? Is that what you call development? So the point is that we are having a mismatch between where we want to go as a people, where we are at, and what aspirations we are dreaming about. The truth of the matter is that we cannot go to even middle-level income when we cannot deal with the majority poor, when we cannot deal with the employment issues, unemployment issues, when we can't take care of our people. So we can't. So where we have people cannot afford medical health, everything you want to throw at people, you tell them to pay for it, then what's the business of a government?
And Wakili, that brings us to the point where one asks the question, does Momanyi understand the power that they do have? And what do I mean with that? Because, like we've said, the recall clause has been made so difficult for it to be effected. Policies around it, basically Parliament has said, no, we are not going to make it easy for you to recall us. But we have every wedding period, every 5 years, when Momanyi finally has the power to make that decision, and that is the power of the vote. And you look at the power that Momanyi has and decisions that they do make, and you look at the parliament that they do select, because we have said, we have established, the greatest house that we have today is parliament, like you've said. It's the one that decides what funding goes where, allocation goes where. It is the state house that begs parliament to approve its budgets, right? But do we know the power that we have in electing those who are there and even giving them directions in terms of, we want that clause to be effected so that it's easy for us to ensure that this country finally is dealing with the fundamentals, the basics, so that the Singapore dream is a reality. Does Momanyi understand the power they have?
You know, first of all, I want you to know that Singapore has about 7 million people. Kenya has about 45 million people. So that's another story. But back to whether Momanyi understands, I think that's where we are at. And I would put it the other way around. Is the understanding of the Momanyi in sync with the aspirations of development? And my answer would be no. Because if today I purpose to get my children educated, I'll do everything. I'll take them to school, I'll pay fees. If we purpose as a country to get better leaders, we will do everything to determine what that leadership means, and we'll work on that. But unfortunately or fortunately, we have already decided that anything goes. You just come with a V8 and pots of money. You can even change your name like the guy of Njeri, and we will forget your past, and we will sanitize you, and we will give you leadership. And we will even support you from the highest office, and even the deputy president and others will come and camp and campaign for you. That is where we are. That we can campaign for people without integrity. We can actually promote people whose past is questionable, and those are the people who want in leadership. And somehow, those are not few.
So, Wakili, if you give Parliament, right, the three that you've given them, what would you give Momanyi that is putting this Parliament there? How would
precisely this Parliament is reflecting the people they represent. So the people and their representatives are at sync, at par. So you cannot separate the poor performance of MPs in Parliament from their constituents. Because for me, I think I'm saying that it's poor performance. For the people who elected the fellows, they are happy with this performance. So they are in sync. That's why I told you there are two levels. If you're looking at it from a psychophantic level, from meeting the people at their point of need, they score 100%. Because they do. But when you look at it from a governance parameters, when you're looking at the ease of doing business, when you're looking at the direction of the country, when you're looking at the rule of law, when you're looking at constitutionalism, when you're asking, where is this country going? Are all the parameters okay? When you're looking at the reports of the Auditor General and the control of budget, are we using our resources properly? Are we holding government to account? If you put all those together and whether corruption is going down, those indicators are showing you that we're doing badly. And yet, we have a parliament that is seemingly doing very well for the purpose of the executive and for purposes of those that they represent, because they will tell you, look, you guys don't understand. Our people are happy with us. And so you bring in people and you say leaders reflect their followers.
Okay. So let's look at this year, 2025, and the different opportunities that Parliament had to prove some of the things that you mentioned. That there was vetting, and then confirmation of certain individuals who went into positions, whether that was at the CS level or otherwise. There were executive orders that were made by the president, across board, whether it was, sale of certain companies, there was also loans, borrowing. There were benchmarking trips that brought money, whether it was Japan, Germany, China, across board. There were very many things that happened, and very little times did we hear the voice of Parliament. And up until recently, when we see this infrastructure fund, for example, whether it was a cabinet decision or not, there is a place that Parliament plays here where they say, hang on a minute, this is what you're doing essentially with taxpayers' money, which we give you the power to spend as the legislature. We didn't hear Parliament's voice very much.
Not surprising.
So it's not surprising. And is this an indication of what we will see coming forward? Because then it's very scary if you have a silent Parliament, especially when the country's money is being spent.
It's not a quiet Parliament.
Okay.
It's a complicit Parliament. It has decided to go in bed with everything that governance and rule of law would frown on. So it's a very, very carefully orchestrated scheme by Parliament to go mute on matters that would be of importance to the rest of us, except matters that are important to the executive. Having said that, what I want us to look at is, and again you say Parliament was quiet, we are in this studio know that despite the fact that Donald Trump is very popular and has been, or rather he rode on popularity to get where he is, when it comes to the issue of the budget, or when it came to the issue of the budget, there was a lockdown of the of the government in the US, because both sides couldn't agree that things were okay and therefore go on with business as usual. In this country, a lockdown is a mirage. It's a far-fetched idea where you can say that there can be a kind of a stalemate between the executive and the legislature. Most likely the legislature is going to kowtow to the executive, and kowtow not because of good reasons, but for reasons that it does not want to undermine the executive in that manner. So having said that, we now need to come back and ask ourselves the question, if this country is ever going to achieve this growth, this development, and so on, what kind of systems do we require? I know we move from idea to idea. We don't settle on anything. We came up with beta, bottom-up, economic transformation, whatever. We have abandoned it. We came up with shisha, whatever. We don't know where it is. Now we are on infrastructure fund, 5 trillion. I mean, those are good ideas. But what happened to Vision 2030? What happened to some of the basics that policies that we had approved as a people or as a country? Why can't the executive and the assembly just follow that blueprint? Or to what extent is now this new idea of 5 trillion and implementation of that blueprint? In other words, why do we do long-term plans that we abandon for short-term plans? And should short-term plans determine long-term plans, or should short-term plans actually be chipping and beefing into long-term plans? So a country that doesn't plan on a long-term basis and is working on fads and working on ideas that are new every day is a country that's not likely to achieve the milestones that it is aspiring to. So if we are going to grow, what happened to our Vision 2030? And remember, we once had Vision, we had said water for all by 2000. When 2000 arrived, we forgot. Now we say in Vision 2030, we had a number of things we wanted to achieve. This is 2025. We are going to 2026. We're about to reach 20. Nobody will remember that we once had Vision 2030 because 2030 came and we remained where we were.
Rokili,
we had Vision 2030, which is a plan, and you look at some of the initiatives, including the standard gauge railway that we talk about today. It is a baby of Vision 2030. You know, you talk about Thika Road, baby of Vision 2030. School, free education, Vision 2030. Now here we are better. Bottom-up economic transformation agenda, that is a plan that we are pushing. And is it anchored on any long-term vision? And would that as well be carried over by the next administration? Because you look at a model, say, what China did, it is a vision that they have had, and every other successive leader has carried over on that plan that has built on to for China to be what it is today. Do we have a plan?
And that's what I was saying, that we have had plans before. If you look at the session of paper number 10 of 1965 on African socialism, we had a plan. If you look at Vision 2030, we have had a plan. If you look at our the economic recovery strategy paper, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, we've had plans. Did Kibaki stick to the plan? Yes. Did Kibaki give us Vision 2030? Yes. Did he have an economic recovery strategy paper that he worked on? Yes. That tied up some of the ills that the Moi government had visited on us for a while? Yes. What happened after that? You ask yourself. Did Uhuru have any plan that, and when you say Uhuru, it's Uhuruto, because they were yes. So did they have any plan that was long term? They came, abandoned Vision 2030. They came in the second term, they told us, Big Five.
Yeah.
That disappeared. These guys arrived with a bottom-up economic strategy, and it was selling very well, and Mama Mboga was excited. It disappeared. They have come up with SHA. It is on the where it is. Even MPs the other day said they don't want SHA, they want their own thing. So if it is good for us, why can't MPs come on it? Now we are on the 5 trillion infrastructure fund. We are always having a fund. We are always having a story to tell. We are always on the move. When will we settle?
Wakili, lack of having a plan that guides us on what it is we want to do in terms of this is our plan on education, this is our plan on infrastructure and development, this is our plan on manufacturing, this is our plan on healthcare. Seems as though we are on autopilot with no destination. What does that mean in terms of service delivery and ensuring that the core is sorted out?
And this is the problem, that as we speak here, the education sector is in shambles. Schools opened and closed before even government capitation went. And we tell students, we tell parents, don't pay fees. And we tell people that, education is expensive, we are even going to charge. You know, in other words, what are we committed on? We have different people tell you their experiences, but generally, what was wrong with NHIF, and why did we have to abandon it so fast and replace it with something that is problematic? Why couldn't we have done this gradually? So when you are saying we can't meet our basic education, we are struggling to put money in education. And we say, and the other day, I don't know, you people are in this media, you saw the ministry itself saying that they have discovered some money. The Ministry of Education, that some money has been going to ghost schools.
Yeah, and
a ministry saying that, and it's the one that is pretending over how money. In a country, in another country, would you get away scot-free by saying that you don't even know some money has been going to ghost, and it goes like that? Surely. So basically, what I'm saying is that we need to take ourselves a bit more seriously, and we need to know that unless we fix basics, anything else we talk about is a mirage, is a dream, and dreams are not bad, but it's a dream that cannot be realized. So let's build up basics. Let us start from where it matters. Are people who are healthy? Are people who are educated? Are people who have opportunities that they can explore and make businesses? Will be people who can go where we are going. You talked about China. Right now, you know that China is busy planning. And when you look at China's education, right from the nursery school throughout, they are building around innovation. They are training children on how to become innovators. I mean, the whole education is looking to the future.
It's part of the plan.
Yes, part of the plan. They are saying this is the kind of Chinese we want in 2050, 2070. And they are building it up. Now, fine, we have CBE. And technically speaking, CBE or CBC, whatever, it's a good thing. You're telling people to start finding their talents early. But put in their resources, put in focus, and ensure the system works. You don't leave it on autopilot. You don't leave it to chance. You don't leave it to the vagaries of some bureaucrats who will tell you, yes, we'll fund this one, we'll not fund that. You put your money where your mouth is.
So would people be wrong? Because there are folks who are accused of conjecture. There are folks who are accused of just being negative about things. So would people be wrong by saying it doesn't look like there was a plan in the first place, and this is just another opportunity at whatever level for public funds to be, gobbled up, and that to ride on a political wave that you think is going to, keep the people interested, just the way the bottom-up Mama Mboga whole story was? Is this another thing? Because one would imagine that Parliament would jump up on something like this and say, hang on a minute, where are we going? We already owe so much money. We already have so many things that are not working. How about we fix those first? One would imagine that that's what you expect Parliament to do, to be able to jump on something and say, hey, hang on, we need to do things systematically. But you abandon one thing before you're able to finish it and jump onto another. Is it just being negative? Is it just being, lacing things with conjecture? How would you then look at this thing objectively and say, no, we can do better?
You see, there is no any other way of looking at Parliament in terms of Senate and in terms of the National Assembly other than to look at the powers that have already been vested in those institutions in the Constitution, and to know that they have a role which they have to play, particularly, for example, the issue of resource allocation. They are the ones that are been given the mandate to determine how much resources we raise and where we allocate those resources. A very important role. So today, if you are talking about the 5 trillion infrastructure fund, is it an initiative being driven by Parliament, or is it an initiative being driven by executive, which will be drummed down the throat of Parliament and they'll just accept it? So for me, it's a question of taking your business seriously and focusing on it. Now, I wish I could point to 1 or 2 parliamentarians that you can say seem to have an idea, whether they're in the lead, in the minority or the majority, seem to have an idea where they think this country should be going, or what they think is going wrong in this country, and they're working on it. I wish I could point at that. But when you have a whole house complicit, quiet, decidedly focused on saying everything is okay, then we will not be able to have that opportunity where the executive can wake up and challenge, or be challenged, and where the Parliament can wake up and challenge the executive. As for Senate by design is a lost cause, because the Senate, as designed by this Constitution, is such an ineffective organ. What is the role of a senator?
It's to make sure that it's supposed to be, go ahead.
It's supposed to be holding, or rather assisting accountability and assisting resources to go to the various counties.
Right.
When you hear senators speak, they are actually fighting the counties, whether they are in Kakamega, wherever they are always fighting their counties, and they're always raising issues that are neither here nor there. Because the point being that if Senate was really the upper house, because that's what we missed, it would be a more effective organ. It would be even a sanctioning and calling the National Assembly, which is the lower house, to question and so on. That is a weakness of our Constitution. In terms of the Senate, we also have a weaker National Assembly, which just kowtows to the executive, and therefore you can't have a situation where you can say it's an ideal checks and balances. It is an executive that is overrunning the legislature, a legislature that is fighting to shout to sing its praises to the executive, and that's not good. But generally, there's something that you said which I need to emphasize. If you have a leadership that is always telling its people that they are wrong, they don't know because they don't appreciate, then you have a problem. Because how come that you, the leader, you are the only one who seems to know? Everybody else does not know. But everyone else is ignorant. You are the only one who knows where you're going? Then why don't you go without us so that you don't need our vote? But if we are this thick, we don't understand, then you must ask yourself, how come I'm so smart? I'm more clever than all these fellows combined. You should ask yourself, something must be wrong. If you are the only one who is so smart, who knows everything, And the rest of us
don't know anything.
Don't know anything.
The genius in the room.
Yeah, we are just every time we question, we say, surely there must be a problem.
Wakili, I want to look at the situation where 2022, 2026 now that they're getting into it. And one would have hoped that this is the time when a lot of work would have gone into pushing the country and the agenda forward, right? And you have rated it at 3. We're getting into 2026, and we know what 2026 means. Early campaigns, full throttle gear, tuko ndani. What are we likely to see in 2026? Will anything ever happen if the past 3 years nothing has really happened?
You see, we are a very interesting country, and that's how Michael Joseph said we are very peculiar, and indeed we are. We are the only people who will cry about a problem and go ahead and do it the same way. So, yes, we'll cry about our MPs. In fact, the history is 75% of our MPs tend to be
re-elected.
To be rejected. Only about 25% get re-elected. That is our history. But who then replaces them? That is again our history. We have a problem with this one, and we bring back another look-alike, but in a different shirt. Number one. Number two, then the shirts change, because this time there might be a shirt that is multicolored. A part of the shirt will be orange, a part of the shirt will be yellow, a part of the shirt will be some other color. When you come with those multicolor, you are likely to find a bearing and you'll come in. The question is, have those multicolors given you what it takes for you to come and do representation? That again will be our problem. So what are we expecting? Expect more of the same. Expect us to play our politics the same way. Expect money to be the key issue here. Expect bribery. Expect violence. We saw it in the by-elections. And what violence does is scares away voters, and it then enables the vulnerable and perhaps the less there are people that will need to be escorted to go and vote. So they are more even vulnerable, and they are even now more amenable to being told how to vote. Expect those subservient fellows to go and vote the way they are told, and expect those who think that this thing is going to be violent to keep off. So, and then in the process, you'll find that the majority that will elect will be the majority that don't have an idea what is happening, and perhaps reflect again the kind of leadership we have. So, come 2027, after elections, we'll be like, hiya, where did you get Dennis from? Because there will be a number of people who will come with various shades, some we've never heard before, but they'll come because the moments, the imperatives are in their favor.
Everything is salvageable, they tell us. And so we get to the point where Kenyans will be asking the question, so where do we go? As opposed to sitting in this spot saying, okay, well, it's so bad, and I guess we just have to wait until the next thing that happens along. But is that the case? Is there something that can be done?
It can be done. By us talking about some of these things, we are actually telling you, the ordinary Kenyan, that you have to think of where you want to go. And you have to know that if you don't make the right choices, if you make the same choices, you cannot make the change you are looking for. If you don't like what you are seeing now, you cannot then go ahead and do the same thing again in 27. Look at what you don't like, make a determination from where you sit, and do something differently. But one thing I can tell a Kenyan as I look at them in the eye is that you cannot choose people without integrity. You cannot accept to be bribed. You cannot accept money you don't know where people's which source where the sources are from, and they expect that person loves you so much they can go to the bank, break the bank, bring all their money to you because they love you. No. Those people love themselves. They know when they spend on you, they'll have yet another opportunity to make more money through whichever means they have. So anybody who is ready to break the bank to seek your vote, be wary of that person. Why are they ready to buy? Why are they ready to kill? Why are they ready to maim? Be wary. So we are just saying that there are certain things, signs that you need to look out for. Why is this flashy fellow all of a sudden saying the right things or saying things that you want to hear? Why? It's because they know they will hoodwink you, and once you have been hoodwinked, you will vote for them, and once you vote for them, you will start again the same cycle. You're regretting how they got there. So have your eyes open, make your own decisions. But I also like to say that if we make a bed of roses with thorns, we should be able to be ready to lie in it. This leadership hasn't come from nowhere. These MPs haven't come from nowhere. They have come from us through our votes. So we must face the consequences.
But it is imperative for Kenyans today to wake up and smell the coffee and realize that the problems that bedevil them today, the unavailability of education capitation, health system that is not working, bad roads, bad leadership and governance, is as a result of decisions that was made to Kenyans. And that if we are to see the future, the dreams and aspirations that we want as Kenyans, if we want to get to the Singapore dream, then it is upon us. It is not up to the leadership that there is for us to get there. It is us to make the decision for our own selves, to depend aside for us to see the future that we want.
And I would like to tell a Kenyan, forget about Singapore. Think about Kenya and ask, how can Kenya be better? How can Kenya afford to feed its people? How can Kenya afford to give its people good health? How can Kenya ensure that its educated populace actually is productive and they're engaging in nation development? If you do that for me, I don't care who we look like. But don't tell me we want to be like Ndu. No. Ndu should just be Ndu. I should be me, but we must be better because we are living our lives in a manner that is desirable for us. So we don't want to compare ourselves with Somalia. No, we don't want to compare ourselves with Sudan. No. We want to say as a country, we started by saying we needed to eliminate 3 things. Ignorance,
poverty,
disease and poverty. 60-something years later, where are we on that scale? Our forefathers were dreaming, they remained dreams. Now we are dreaming and telling them we want to be like Singapore. And then what will happen 10 years, 15 years from now, we will be back here and saying, look, no, that dream wasn't anchored on our reality. So let's anchor our thoughts on our reality. Let's decide what is good for us. If leadership is important, let's take it seriously. Let's invest in it seriously. If integrity is important and accountability are important things, then let's look for people who have integrity and who are accountable. If we care that national resources should be used in such a way that all of us should benefit, then let's make sure that we don't allow people who then can, corruptly acquire resources come to seek our offices or our votes, and we give them. Let us decide on what we want. All I'm saying is that I don't want to blame a Kenyan, but I want to tell the Kenyan that we are what we want to be. If we want to be better, we will work for it.
Yes.
If we want to be people who are accountable and people who have integrity, we will work for it. But if we don't care, if anybody, I was asking a taxi driver yesterday that if you knew I was a thief, would you employ me as a watchman in your home? If you knew. But no, people we can't trust. We see people whose resources, we trust them with the leadership. Then when you're in trouble, who do you
expect? Well, those are things to then be able to close the year on, even as we look at Parliament's in-tray and out-tray going into 2026. And it can't be said better, I think. There's a lot to think about for people as you come into a year that then ushers into another year where another decision will be made about who sits in positions of leadership, propelling this country to the places that it ought to go. Dr. Martinolo, thank you so much for being here this morning with us and having this conversation with us. And as you go, remember that you'll be safe as you drive, and you'll tell us ukifika.
Kabisa. And thank you for having me, and let me take this opportunity to wish you in the studio. You've been working hard for the whole year, to wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and to all our viewers and listeners who have been with us for all this time, and I know there are many. Every time we appear, they appreciate.
Yes.
Every time they don't agree with what we are saying, they comment, and that's the way to go.
Absolutely.
We will not always be agreeing, but we must be able to listen to each other and build this country for ourselves.
For sure. We've been discussing how to navigate this constantly changing world, and when it comes to your money, you need a plan that's easy to access. The good news, ICA is making your financial journey seamless and digital. So forget the old-fashioned having to queue up somewhere. There's a new way of doing things digitally with technology. The WhatsApp chatbot called Leo, and the self-service portal making planning super easy. They even have a retirement preparedness tool. It helps you calculate exactly exactly how much you need for retirement and gives you a specific target to plan towards. So Joyline is making insurance and investments necessities, not luxuries, for a diverse group of people. So find your accessible, inclusive and helpful plan today. Just ask, what's your plan? Click and check out the digital tools at icealion.co.ke. Good morning at 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. And the DPP, Renson Ingonga, has urged the public to avoid speculation over the death of former Lugari MP and businessman Cyrus Jirongo, saying due process will be followed to establish the cause of the fatal road accident. Speaking in Nairobi, Ingonga said investigations are ongoing and will be guided strictly by the law and available evidence. His remarks come as the DCI confirmed it is interviewing people who last interacted with Jirongo before the crash. Jirongo, aged 64, died last Saturday after his vehicle collided head-on with a passenger bus on the Nakuru-Naivasha highway. The High Court is expected to issue directions in a suit by the EACC seeking to recover 813.1 million shillings from Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi and 13 others of alleged graft linked to road construction tenders. The case will be mentioned before Justice Lucy Njuguna, who will guide how the recovery suit will proceed. The EACC says the funds were irregularly obtained through corrupt procurement practices involving road agencies between the 2018, 2019 and 2021-2022 financial years. It wants the money refunded to the government with interest and has sought the preservation of bank accounts linked to the implicated companies. Governor Wamatangi has denied the allegation, saying he has no interest in the companies named, and his lawyers have indicated they will oppose the application. The recovery case comes as the governor separately challenges related investigations, claiming political targeting, a move opposed by the DPP. UDA members in Trans Nzoia County say there is a growing disconnect between party leaders and grassroots supporters and are urging the leadership to address the issue ahead of the January local elections. Speaking in the county, Member Davis Sang cited poor communication and failure to address members' concerns, warning this could hurt party unity if not resolved.
Naitwa Sang Davis kutoka Endebess kwa ofisi ya mjumbe wa Endebess. Tumecommit kwamba we have disconnection ya mambo ya chama, especially hapa Trans Nzoia. Mimi nataka kuomba treasurer wa chama na wanachama wote, especially mambo ambayo wananchi wamesema, tusikue tu tunakuja fanya election ya chama grassroots, alafu kesho chama ikienda juu hao watu watasaulika. Mimi nataka kuomba tuwakutanishe na tushirikiane na tufanye kazi kwa pamoja. Mambo ni mingi, tunaweza kuwa tumevaa tu uniform ya chama, lakini kuna maneno mingi hapa ndani.
And another member, Shamala Immaculate, acknowledged challenges faced during the last presidential election.
Naitwa Sang Davis kutoka Endebess kwa ofisi ya mjumbe wa Endebess. Tumecommit kwamba we have disconnection ya mambo ya chama, especially hapa Trans Nzoia. Mimi nataka kuomba treasurer wa chama na wanachama wote, especially mambo ambayo wananchi wamesema, tusikue tu tunakuja fanya election ya chama grassroots, alafu kesho chama ikienda juu hao watu watasaulika. Mimi nataka kuomba tuwakutanishe na tushirikiane na tufanye kazi kwa pamoja. Mambo ni mingi, tunaweza kuwa tumevaa tu uniform ya chama, lakini kuna maneno mingi hapa ndani.
The Kilifi County Children's Department has issued a stern warning to parents who allow their children to engage in illegal activities, saying the practice is against the law. Speaking during a press conference in Malindi, Chief Officer Sebastian Mateti said parents who violate the law will face legal action.
Wakati wa likizo ya Disemba ambapo tumepata watoto ni wengi wako mitaani wanarandaranda wakiuza jugu na kuuza miwa. Unakuta ni wa kiume na wa kike wanaenda kwa makundi wakiuza. Hiyo ni tishio kubwa kwa sababu wanahatarisha maisha ya mtoto. Kwanza wanamwachilia atembee kokote bila kuongozwa. Na bila shaka wale walaghai ambao wako tayari kutesa na kunajisi watoto wako karibu, na hii ni wakati wa sherehe ambako watu ni wengi. Hiyo tabia inastahili kome mara moja, kwa sababu hiyo ni kuachilia mtoto katika ajira ya watoto ambapo unafanya kazi ambazo unahatarisha maisha yake. Wazazi mnaonywa kali na uache mambo ya kuajiri watoto. Hiyo ni makosa na ni hatia.
That's the Newswire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi. Mature, intelligent. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right, and so we're getting into it at 6 minutes after 9 o'clock and into the final hour of our conversations this morning. It's a situation room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. And you said you're going to tell us again, in case we didn't get it last time.
Yes.
Okay.
19 shillings gives you 1 hour of unlimited data that is also fun and has unlimited bundles.
Okay.
Right? 3 hours. You spend how much? 45 shillings. Where do you get these on Airtel? How do you get it? Star 544 hash or go to your My Airtel app on Play Store or
App Store.
App Store, right?
Yes.
And even if you are not there, where do you get it as well? You just buy the Airtel SIM card from a nearest Airtel shop. Okay. But what exactly will these bundles do to you? It will maintain the quality of life. It will enable you be in these rooms. It will enable you be part of processes, communication, celebrations during this festive season. You do not have to miss all this because you have limited data. Airtel is here to give you unlimited data. But that notwithstanding, we are also giving you an opportunity to tell us your story and where you missed out simply because data let you down. And we will give you 3,000 shillings worth of airtime courtesy of Airtel. Remember, star 544 hash or go to your My Airtel app, both on App Store and Play Store, or buy yourself an Airtel SIM card. Because here, tumeamua maisha lazima ikwe nywe.
Kabisa. And we've been having a conversation. We've been talking about the need for you to plan for your future. And we said it's not elitist. We've said that it is actually what you need to do to then move forward. That you don't wait for the future to jump upon you and you're like, future, where did you come from? No. Future says, do it now. So we've also said that there are ways in which you can do this. The technology is all over the place. You don't have to go line up anywhere. You can actually do it from the comfort of your space. And this is all about ICEA and planning your future. So let's look at it from a note of optimism. Just because at its core, ICA Line is in the business of human growth and the joy of a better life. They want you to romance the benefits of planning for the future in an upbeat and memorable way. This isn't just about fear. It's not about fear at all. It's about the great life you can build when you're prepared. They help discerning individuals create wealth and protect themselves through innovative services. So whether it's wealth generation, protecting assets, or retirement, looking into retirement security, ICEA is a brand for you. If you're not planning for the future with insurance and investments, it's high time you did. So what's your plan? That's the question I'm asking you this morning. Get started on that better life at icealion.co.ke.
Yes. Hello, December.
Hello.
It is December and Naivas is here telling you to beat the traffic. Why exactly are you beating the traffic? Because they want you to head to Naivas because they are making this December most rewarding month. We are talking about the legendary Kikwetu Mbuzi giveaway that was there until the 12th of December. That was Jamhuri Day. But now they are here to ensure that you are as well winning kuku every day
up until the 24th of December. But Naivas isn't just about winning. It's about convenience and variety. You need fresh cuts from the butchery, ingredients from the pantry, or maybe that new TV. You know, right now it's December. Family is here. Do you need that TV? Do you need Christmas lights? Naivas has the widest selection of fresh food, household goods, electronics, and festive gifts, reinforcing their spot as the true one-stop Christmas destination. Don't forget to use your Naivas loyalty card every time you shop to stand a chance to win cars and home appliances. Now, hear this out. Shop Naivas daily and experience the true Kenyan Christmas spirit. Drive time check. Have you shopped at the Naivas today? Because you could be missing out on a free mbuzi or fresh chicken. These festive giveaways are happening daily, and while you're there, stock up everything you need for the holiday table, from the bakery to the butchery, and even your household appliances is under one roof. Because then again, when we talk about Naivas, it does what? It saves you money.
Absolutely it does. And one thing that you can do to actually make your shopping experience, even at Naivas, all the way better, is using your KCB card. It's the winning card, and across the country, we're calling in folks far and wide. Use your KCB card to spend and actually get more. How do you do this? Well, it's about your chance to will turn everyday purchases into epic prizes. KCB is making their cards the convenient, secure, and rewarding payment option for everything you do. Every time you use your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card, you can automatically be in the running. You can win 10,000 shillings every day. You can win 100,000 shillings. I beg your pardon, 10,000 shillings every week, 100,000 shillings every month. A luxury wellcation, experiencing Zanzibar. Look, use your KCB card now for shopping, fueling, or online purchases, and make your card the winning card. And if you're looking for where to go, do it at the Sarit Center. Visit Rudolph and Santa Claus, and you can actually see all the things that are happening for Christmas cheer. Today's Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, it is. You can shop at the Masai Market at Sarit and start to get those unique gifts for family and friends this season. And see, everybody says that they're listening to wonderful Christmas carols through the day. And get onto your loyalty app with Sarit, and you can gather up points even as you go along. I'm telling you, Christmas is Christmasing, and it's doing it at the Sarit Center. You see all those things that you can do? Yes. Don't ever say we didn't tell you what you couldn't do.
Kabisa.
During the Christmas break or even after that. Kabisa. Don't be left behind. And even as we get into our final conversation for this hour, we're going to be looking at bilateral and multilateral ties between Kenya and the country of Azerbaijan. His Excellency Sultan Hajiev joins us this morning. He's the ambassador to Kenya and representative to UNEP and UN Habitat, and he's in the hot seat this morning. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning. Habari za usubuhi.
Salama.
Salama kabisa.
Your Swahili has gone to school, eh?
No, bado. I'm only trying.
You're doing very well.
If you can be in a conversation and say bado, I think you're okay.
Well, at least a little bit. Bits and pieces.
At least you can buy a coffee in Swahili.
To say ningependa gahawa nyosi bila maziwa, that's like a mantra to start the day. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here this morning. Good to have you in the Situation Room. We're going to be looking at the Kenya-Azerbaijan partnership, how these relations started and how they are going so far. Before we do that, we take a proverb from an African country every day. We look into what the Wahenga of that country have said, and then we ask you, as though you don't have enough work to do, to interpret that proverb for us.
Okay.
Today, Dennis, or rather this week, Dennis does something different because he's looking at issues that African proverbs have tackled.
Okay.
Yes.
So he'll tell you where this one is from, and your interpretation would be great.
Okay. So this proverb, right, is from Wahenga ancestors, yeah? And what they were communicating to during their time.
Okay.
And this proverb says, if a king judges the poor with fairness, its throne is established forever. What do you think the ancestors were saying at the time?
Well, I think this is not a matter of where or when this particular saying is coming from. I think it's true at all times, and not for kings only, but for any kind of managerial supervisor employers kind of relations, starting from something very basic going all the way to the very top. It's about fairness. It's about people willing to be treated the way, the one who is treating them wants to be treated himself. So I think it's at the core of any sound management that you have to be honest, you have to be fair, you have to be objective, and if you do so, then basically you'll be respected, you'll be embraced, and you'll be supported by your employees, by your citizens, if we're talking about monarchy, or by anyone else. But with your permission, I just wanted to add, when it comes to African wisdom or to proverb, during the United Nations Environment Assembly last week, in my opening at the plenary, I actually referred to Swahili wisdom that I learned here in Kenya, and I use it time and again because I really enjoy it and I appreciate it. And this is the one which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, then go together. So I was basically appealing to the delegates, emphasizing importance of joining efforts, and it's also something rather universal in my view. But there is a lot of wisdom, I mean, and it's good to be able to avail ourselves of those wisdoms once in a while. Yes,
absolutely.
And Kenya would say, kazi nzuri, karibu sana.
Yeah, asante sana. Asante, nashukuru. Thank you.
So it's interesting because we look at Azerbaijan and where it is located, first of all, geographically on the map, looking at the nexus then between Europe and Asia, and then looking at the connection then that it would have with an African country, Kenya specifically. And if we look at things like the economic outlook, we look at the economies of Azerbaijan, not for me to tell you anything about your country, because I mean, clearly you're the expert there. But one of the things that stood out is that it's one of the places for the earliest discovery of oil on the planet. Sure. And so in terms of natural resources, Azerbaijan was quite high up the totem pole before anybody else was. And so it's one of those nations economically that will not be ignored geopolitically and on the global scale. Then to be able to look at the connection that it bears with Kenya, what is the genesis of the relationship between Azerbaijan and Kenya? Because it seems like it would be a unique one and not one that you would often name on your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you did.
True. I tend to agree. I think that's a very logical question, because if you look at the countries like Kenya and Azerbaijan, they're like worlds away geographically. And for someone who is not aware of the background or who is not really very much into the international relations these days, there isn't much to bring the two countries together. However, it's very different. The times when two countries could exist without knowing about each other are long gone. It's a small world, and even countries that are of very different, I don't know, background, location, you name it. I mean, they are bound together, and sometimes it just happens in a very kind of ad hoc way. Sometimes it's a very premeditated, calculated decision. And you mentioned our natural resources. It's true that Azerbaijan is blessed with natural resources, oil and gas. However, I think the real blessing is my country's ability to utilize those resources for development successfully. So if we look at the path, if we look at our journey, since we have regained our independence following the collapse of the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan moved all the way from almost entirely donor-dependent country with almost 1 million refugees that was basically doing nothing but survival, with like 20% of its territory occupied by foreign forces, to the country which is absolutely self-sufficient, which is very active internationally. We are allocating sizable resources to international development aid. Azerbaijan is a donor country. And I can tell you very frankly that, say, in 92, 93, 94, someone telling me Azerbaijan will open an embassy in Kenya, I would have asked this person to go see his doctor, because the realities of the struggle back then left no space whatsoever for such far-reaching ambitions. However, we managed. I mean, we've taken care of our refugees and IDPs. We have taken care of the lands that we liberated in 2020. Most importantly, we have embarked on a journey of establishing lasting peace and stability with all our neighbors, including our Armenian neighbors, with whom relations have been totally marred because of the territorial claims that we faced at the end of 80s. So Kenya being Kenya, and I'm not saying it because I'm here in Nairobi, but I think everybody knows what kind of country Kenya is in Africa. It's one of the flagship countries. You have so much to be proud of. And I mean, if you look at several countries in Africa that are doing, I mean, well, we all have our share of trouble. I'm not trying to say anything is perfect or any place is perfect, but Kenya is definitely a natural choice in terms of partnership. It's a gate to this particular part of Africa. I mean, there are so many issues and so many opportunities, and it's really partnership for me, because as we are discussing possible cooperation avenues, I keep repeating that, I mean, I don't like using the word assistance or help when it comes to Kenya. Because to me, Kenya doesn't need help. It doesn't need assistance. It needs partnership. There are things that you can learn, and there are things that we can learn. And this is exactly our motto, or this is exactly the way we see our bilateral relations, and this is the dimension or the avenues that we have chosen.
Yeah, you know, when you speak about partnerships, and lately you have been meeting, you had a meeting with the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and there are various issues that you discuss. One would be the World Urban Forum, where Kenya and Azerbaijan would be working together there in 2026, that Baku will be hosting, as well as lately UNEA 7 worked together and given promises on working together on green energy transition. And these are just areas that you look at Kenya and its push towards clean energy, world leading in terms of clean energy that Kenya consumes. And one says, like rightfully you've said, partnership is important, but which other areas as well would the two countries be looking to work together into in the future?
Oh, there is a number of areas, and let me first refer to those that you've just mentioned. And let me take you back to the 2024, when Azerbaijan hosted COP. This was COP 29, and this was our big intro, kind of arrival to the climate change agenda. Azerbaijan was continuously active in a number of international platforms, I mean, including the non-aligned movement, which we chaired for 2 terms. However, COP29 stands out. It was different. It remains different for us, just like the whole climate change agenda. We are continuously working in this direction, and the UNEA, which was taking place here in Nairobi last week, was yet another opportunity for my country to engage and contribute. I have the honor, I'm always jokingly adding it's for my sins, but of course it's joke only, but I have the honor and privilege of chairing the Committee of Permanent Representatives of UNEP. And this gives me an additional opportunity, let's put it this way, to engage meaningfully both with UNEP itself, but also with all the member states actively working on environment agenda. You rightly mentioned my meeting with Prime Cabinet Secretary, and we really enjoy exceptional partnership with our Kenyan counterparts, His Excellency Prime Cabinet Secretary, of course His Excellency President. We had a number of opportunities to discuss bilateral ties and opportunities, the same with a number of cabinet secretaries, same with senior leadership of the parliament. I mean, speaking of the areas, well, we mentioned energy already. That's like writing on the wall. This is our bread and butter, oil and gas. However, Azerbaijan is also investing heavily in alternative energy, in green energy. This is one important area, and Kenya has a lot to share and has very successful experience of harnessing potential of this particular type of energy resources, and we hope this is something we can work on jointly. There are a lot of interesting opportunities in other areas, like information and communication technologies is one being explored currently. Agriculture is yet another area. I mean, it's very inviting, it's very interesting for us. And let me share a secret that some of my friends who come here and try some of the fruits or vegetables here in Nairobi, they do have difficulties eating them elsewhere, including in US and including them in Europe, because they say they just don't taste the same. So unless this is Kenyan, I mean, there are lots of things.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for Kenya?
Well, for you, it's a very good thing. It's your potential. I mean, you don't pay attention because you're used to it. But
so, no, what I mean is that those who say they taste differently, meaning that the Kenyan fruits taste better.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the whole point. That's why they have difficulties eating the same as
the
they
other
go
side,
back to
yes.
their normal locations.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is another area. Our judiciaries are partnering. This is yet another interesting dimension. This is yet another interesting opportunity. Our Prosecutor General visited Kenya, and this is yet another line of partnerships that we are working on. You know, it's difficult to mention them all. You have emphasized the World Urban Forum 13 that will be taking place in Baku next May. This is something of paramount importance for Azerbaijan, and we believe this is yet another natural partnership avenue or natural partnership direction, because we are talking about housing, not just housing as such, not just some interesting, sophisticated discussions and statements. We're trying to find the practical value of how these discussions can result in bettering lives of citizens. And the motto of the event is basically housing the world. We're talking about self and resilient cities and communities, and we want to bring together all the key stakeholders, including at senior political level, for discussion of how some of the decisions or some of the issues that they can be looking at and will be looking at can be transformed into changes on the ground for people to have better opportunities in their daily lives, in doing things that they're doing. And Kenya being really big, I'm emphasizing it on many occasions, because your affordable housing program is something of great interest and of great value, not just for Kenya, but also for a number of other countries that are struggling with housing issues. Of course, I mean, I'm not an expert in the area, so I'm not the one to judge, but I believe this is yet another opportunity for Kenyans to demonstrate and to showcase what they're doing. We're also linking it to environmental aspects, because as we all know, cities can be major sources of trouble when it comes to environment, but they can be also places where many solutions can be put forward and applied accordingly. So we draw this link, because yet another area where Kenya is also very, very active is environment. I mean, so your role in environment in Africa is well known. You know, you hosted African Summit on Environment in 2023. So here is yet another area, here is yet another opportunity of mutual value, of mutual interest, mutually beneficial, basically.
Right.
So,
and you mentioned that you don't like using the terms development or assistance, Balozi. So there is then, it would appear that there is this now current use of the term partnerships and agreements, bilateral, where we work together, where there will be an agreement on both sides that folks are working together. So then the issues of national interest come into place, that it will be rare, we will be hard pressed to find a bilateral or multilateral agreement that came into place that then didn't consider national interests of nations. Beyond having a partner on the African continent that is forward thinking or is a flagship country like Kenya, what else would be the national interest of Azerbaijan entering into a bilateral agreement with Kenya?
with your permission, let's first exonerate development, because I think development is one word that everybody embraces.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
we all love development.
Yes.
It's the word assistance or help that I believe does not really fit well.
Okay.
Not just for Azerbaijani-Kenyan relations, but for any country's partnership with Kenya. Because Kenya is a partner, is not a recipient. So this is one thing I would like to emphasize. And you're absolutely right that any relations can only be lasting when this genuine goodwill to partner, which is there, and there is plenty, is reinforced by very specific processes of different nature. It can be primarily commercial, economic, it can be strategic partnership on the issues that are of similar interest for the parties concerned, where the interests coincide. These are the mutual gain areas. And mutual gain areas is something that you have and we need, it's something that we have and you're looking for. So the question is to identify, to match, and then put it to service of people on the ground. Because as important as partnership at senior political level is, and I've mentioned that in our case, it's really very, very positive. I mean, we're enjoying it to the fullest extent. as important as official negotiations, documents, agreements, memorandums of understanding are, they will only come to life full speed, full time, when there is specific outcome generating and projecting change to the people on the ground. This is something we are after. So we are exploring several avenues, and we're not there yet. To me, the glass is always half empty and half full. I can easily talk about the parts that I believe to be full, because we only started here 2 years ago. I'm Balozi Kwanza. There was never embassy of Azerbaijan here in Kenya before, so I'll be probably thrilled and pleased to talk about all the many developments that we have achieved thanks to excellent partnership with our Kenyan friends. But I personally prefer to look at the parts that have not been yet fully utilized, where potential is not really fully harnessed yet. And there are many. But it only proves that this partnership has a future, and it is to be continued. And it is to be continued to the mutual interest of the
both
people.
countries.
Lots of areas, like for example, education is yet another area. I'm proud to say that we have started accepting Kenyan students under the fully funded scholarship named after Heydar Aliyev, who is a founder and national leader of contemporary Azerbaijan as we know it. And it was his vision that took us from those dark corners that I was telling you about when he came to power to 1994. This was exactly the time that no one would have even thought of us being where we are today. And again, I'm not trying to say that we've taken care of everything. In our case, it's a smooth ride. No country in the world, no matter how big or how powerful it is, can claim to have resolved all of those issues. But there is this scholarship program, and we hope to get more and more Kenyan students coming on board. We're also partnering with several Kenyan educational institutions here, including, for example, there are schools for children with mental disabilities that we are supporting. There is Kenyan Institute for Special Education. We have established the Youth Innovation Hub there under Azerbaijan International Development Agency. There are many more, but we hope that more are yet to come.
That's interesting that you say that, because it kind of answered what my next question would be, in terms of, when you have agreements like this, usually speaking from a relational point of view between nations, is that you will find where there may be gaps. There will be a problem, essentially, that a bilateral agreement of this nature would essentially come in to solve. That's what usually would happen on both sides, right?
Right.
More or less. Right. You may or may not have heard that Kenya is now embarking on a journey towards, I prefer to use the developed world, but many have used the first world.
Okay.
In the recent, couple of weeks, Kenya is on this journey towards reaching maximum optimal development. And the president has announced this on several, we've seen that just the other day, Cabinet has approved a fund that will see that Kenya actually collects money that will put it on the infrastructural path towards this world. What are your thoughts about now that, in line with this agreement, that Kenya then does have 2 years into these bilateral relations?
Well, first of all, I believe that the ongoing efforts that you have just mentioned is something that Kenya totally deserves. And, I wouldn't want to go into dividing first world, second world, but in general, when it comes to development level, Kenya already has a lot to credit itself with, but the opportunities are there, and they're huge. Even as you travel within the country, when you embark on the road trips, you can totally see how much better this whole travel could be, also resulting in so much more gains and benefits for the country's economy if some of the infrastructural issues were taken care. And I'm in no position to judge why it has not happened earlier, but it's important to do it now, because, for us, again, at the time of us having regained the independence, all we had was completely old, obsolete, Soviet-built road infrastructure. It's gone. It's no more. You want to travel within the country, from the capital, from various regions to other regions. You have highways everywhere, and it's an immediate boost to economy, and it really makes a lot of difference on the ground. It's not just about roads, but it's about all the satellite related accessory services. It's about major incentive for economy. So from this point of view, I believe it's very wise And it's very important, and it's probably a precondition for Kenya to fully utilize the potential that the country has, be it economic potential, be it very, very important element that I keep emphasizing time and again, your human potential. That's what I think is as important as your beautiful kind of wildlife, the nature. People of Kenya are one of the major assets that the country has.
Yeah. As we continue the partnership, there is the aspect of the Kenya seeking to open more doors, especially in the Eurasia region, right? And Azerbaijan steps forward as one of the key partners that will help Kenya get into that space. Perhaps we're looking at how that will happen in terms of just, again, Azerbaijan being a good ambassador and the person who is selling Kenya's good name out there, as well as now that would go together with, now that we are here, we're talking about bilateral agreements and partnerships. Perhaps any conversations on migration, making it easier for Kenyans to travel to Azerbaijan and vice versa as well?
Well, as one of my very good Kenyan friends mentioned, introducing me, she said, this is ambassador of Azerbaijan to Kenya, but let me tell you something. This is also ambassador of Kenya to Azerbaijan. Of course, you have your ambassador to Azerbaijan for sure. This is a distinguished colleague of mine. Excellency, he is based in another country. He's a non-resident ambassador. But, I mean, without any intention to claim any of his official functions, of course, I can say that I'm happy to promote and to explain to people, not just in Azerbaijan, but in my part of the world, what Kenya is. Because for some people, they really don't know. You know, there are some stereotypes, there are some dogmas, and for some people who've never been to this part of the world, when they hear Africa, it's like hardships, difficulties. But Kenya is one of those countries that are very, very different. When it comes to travels, when it comes to ease of access, I'm proud to say that one of our achievements is that following opening of the embassy, we've started issuing visas to Kenyans here. I mean, we are not yet at the stage when you can use our online visa system, but we're working on it and hope the day will come when Kenyans will not have to bother about visas prior to departure. But the process is very easy, it's very friendly, and it's a basic visa application process. And I can tell you that as a result of the embassy now, a consulate department now functioning, issuing visas, number of Kenyans who traveled to Azerbaijan in 2024, when compared to figures from 2023, this was like a 6-time increase. Again, it's still super minuscule. It's very little if you look at the absolute figures, but the growth is there. Azerbaijan became a very interesting destination for holidays. Even now, as we speak, I know that a big group of Kenyan friends have just applied to the embassy because they want to go and celebrate New Year in Azerbaijan. And it's something we're very happy with. It's something that we totally enjoy. Of course, we can also look into employment opportunities because Azerbaijan is a vibrant economy with well-developing and rapidly developing sectors, in addition to those well-established already. It also works the other way around. A number of Azerbaijanis coming to Kenya is also growing. They used to come before, I mean, because we never had the visa issues that would force you travel to a third country to come to Kenya to get your visa. This is how it unfortunately was prior to 2024 for Kenyans traveling to Azerbaijan. But, I mean, of course, as they hear about Kenya more, as more people travel for official purposes, they also come back and they share the stories. And I'm proud to tell you that of all the several thousands by now people from Azerbaijan who came here, not a single one went back with any kind of negative, unpleasant memories that this is one trip that you want to forget. They all go and they act as champions or purveyors of Kenya, and more people. It's like a word of the mouth. It sometimes works extremely efficiently.
Okay. Talking about futures, because that's where we are. Tomorrow can be the future, the next month, the next year is a future. And that the world obviously has started ever since we heard of the great globalization idea of the 2000s, right? Where everybody and the world, the phrases like the world is now a global village came into be. And then we said, okay, fine, that you can be in Nairobi today, Abuja tomorrow, New York the next day, and that you were a global citizen essentially. But then we come back to 2024, 2025, and issues of nationalism then start to replay, still within that geopolitical space, and countries are now more insular looking. Is it possible from Europe, in your opinion, to have a marriage of the two, whereby globalization is still an ideology that's playing in the minds of people, and still have nationalism by many countries where they say, okay, well, for now, we're going to think about ourselves and how we can do a little bit better. But can you have a love child, I guess, of globalization and nationalism playing out into the future?
That's a very interesting question, and it's deep. And I'm not saying it's interesting because I'm trying to buy myself more time to think how exactly I'm going to answer it. But it looks at the issues we're all witnessing and, in a way, struggling with in a very non-orthodox way. It's really kind of interesting. To me, it's a pendulum. I think that pendulum has been pushed to the extreme. I think we've, when I say we, I'm talking about the world in general, the international community, we probably crossed some of the red lines, and we went into really far kind of corners of some of the arrangements. And the pendulum is now swinging back. The question is, will we be able to stop it somewhere midway through? It is difficult. There are a lot of factors, there are a lot of issues that are fueling some of those sentiments, and we're seeing it happening in different parts of the world. But we need to believe in common sense. It just needs to be managed carefully, and the repercussions we're witnessing, this is not just something that's happening at the bilateral level, it's also happening within the multilateral relations, in the international platforms. I think even the institutions as big as United Nations itself are also hitting quite a bit of the related damage, and we all know about the challenges that this particular dimension of partnership is facing. But we have to remain optimistic, right? We need to believe that some of those issues can be managed, and that we can arrive at a balanced kind of solution that will eradicate or will take care of some of the, well, let me say, justified concerns that we are witnessing, yet at the same time without pushing that isolationism way too far for it to start undermining the whole foundation of international partnership and relations.
Yeah. So we have, if you look at the global geopolitics, so there is, if you look at what President William Ruto is pushing now, the entire financial architecture that needs to change. And most of the time it has been looked as if the global north pretty much has been looking down on the continent. But now here's a question where now with partnerships, say Kenya, Azerbaijan working together and pushing for, say, that seat at the Security Council, you know, and the need for countries to be seen as equal partners regardless of where it is they come from. One would say that it is through partnerships that such conversations can be stronger, you would say?
Well, of course it is through partnership, and I think this conversation is extremely important, and it's very clear that something is not working well, right? I mean, we totally believe in multilateral platform, we totally believe in multilateral partnerships. I used to work for UN myself for quite some time, and if you ask me, I can tell you many stories of dedicated, passionate, professional UN staff members who are doing their best to contribute and to serve the noble goals of the institution. But, I mean, as much as we want to be positive, something is not working. I mean, I can basically even refer to the two institutions that I am representing my country to. And even so, in both cases, Azerbaijan's partnership with UNEP and UN Habitat is probably, I mean, I don't want to say exemplary, but it's really very successful. It's very dynamically developing. We are contributing, including financially, by the way, both to UNEP and to UN Habitat. For UN Habitat, we were the biggest donor globally for 2 years in a row, and we are also working with UNEP, offering non-earmark contribution. When you say non-earmark, it means you provide funding and then Your counterparts are free to choose where exactly they want to use it. That's the difference between earmarked, when you are offering contribution, but you're predefining where exactly, in which country and for what purposes is going to be used, including sometimes in your country itself. But, I mean, as much as there is a lot of positive experience, and we believe there is huge potential that is to be further explored and further utilized, there is a need for changes. And the challenges that the UN is currently facing cannot be denied. But my point is that, is it really UN to be blamed? I mean, or is it only UN to be blamed? I mean, I don't want to say that, I mean, nothing could have been done better in terms of the management organization for all these decades. But UN is a mirror of the world. I mean, when you look in the mirror and the image that you're seeing, the reflection is no good, you cannot blame the mirror. In this case, I should say you cannot blame the mirror only. So some things need to change. So I personally believe that this is a good opportunity for the world, for the leaders, and for the UN itself to embrace that opportunity, to re-emerge with the changes required to meet expectations and to serve the goals that brought this organization to existence in the aftermath of the Second World War.
I want to look at UN Habitat again, looking at, we know its job, what it's supposed to do is to ensure that there is not just affordable, but dignified shelter for folks around the world. And if we're looking at this neck of the woods, that unfortunately that is an issue that needs to be handled, because the dignified, affordable part of it is something that governments across Africa seem to want to be involved in. Kenya is not left out of that either. That the affordable housing issue has come up, and it has been tinged with a political, hue every now and then. But how would you say that is going so far? If you were to give a score between 1 to 10, and then give an explanation as to what could be really done better, what would that be?
You mean here in Kenya?
Yes.
I believe Kenya, being the host country to UN Habitat, is a leading partnership in a number of areas. And I do believe this is a successful partnership. Of course, there are always things to be added. There are always things to be done. But even the mere fact that Kenya is not limiting itself to simply acknowledging the fact that there are so many people who have no roof over their shoulder. You're doing something, right? I mean, you cannot get anywhere as long as you limit yourself to listing your problems only. You need to look for opportunities. I believe this is a very important journey. I think this is life-changing for many people. And I think those who are getting those apartments, who are getting those houses, are best to judge how important or how vital this particular initiative of the government is. UN Habitat is a UN agency. How efficient it is, how effective it is in partnering with any UN institution, it takes two to tango, basically. It depends on how demanding, how wise, how strategic your government partners are. If you use UN's potential wisely, it can be a major tool reinforcing, multiplying your efforts on the ground. So I personally believe partnership between Kenya and UN Habitat is very successful. And it's successful in more than one way. I've mentioned you hosting, the UN Habitat headquarters is here in Nairobi.
Yes.
And we talked about the World Urban Forum 13, which is the biggest Azerbaijan's international event next year, which we are sure will be also big at the global arena. But the first World Urban Forum took place here in Nairobi. If my memory is not failing me, it was in 2002. So this is also the birthplace of this whole stream, trend, wave, I don't know, you name it, basically, which is bringing together people looking for practical solutions. I'm not trying to come up with a politically correct answer. I'm trying to be very realistic, and then you also should be realistic in terms of expectations of what you can expect from the UN agencies. I mean, not a single country in the world has been rebuilt by the UN agencies, right? The countries are being rebuilt, life is being improved by citizens of the countries under leadership of the respective country. However, when partnered with wisely, UN agencies and other international partners can play a role and can make a contribution. And I think from that point of view, Kenya's partnership with both UN Habitat and UNEP is really very successful.
So when we look at the COP29 that happened in Baku, right, and the decisions that came out of Baku, the agreements that then led to some of the agreements later in COP30, and one would say a lot of that is credited based off the presidency that Azerbaijan held at Baku. And now you sit at the UNEP. We know that UNEP is the basic foundation that then feeds into COPs moving forward later. And in the space of climate change and green energy, from where you sit, and the experience, one would say, that you got from COP29, are we going in the right direction, especially in that space, or should there more to be done? We know we have other countries that are working out of COPs and whatnot, but how can the world then, in partnership, come together to address the existing problems that are there?
Well, this is yet another interesting question. Well, let me first thank you for what you said about COP29 and Azerbaijan's presidency, the role we have played in this process. Of course, it's unbecoming for me to promote or to praise the way my country has managed this really daunting task, but we're really proud of what we have achieved, and we really believe we have made a very important contribution. Right now, it's not an easy time for any kind of global, international development agenda items, and climate change is not an exception. When referring to the experience of the recent UNEA, I mean, of course, Azerbaijan contributed and participated as a member country, just like anybody else. But as I've mentioned, a bit of an additional role that I have the pleasure of discharging or performing, this was an extra opportunity to see some of those discussions at the very close range. I can tell you it was not easy. The processes that we're all aware of are claiming their toll or are impacting a wide range of international development agenda or discussions. However, I'm really proud that thanks to excellent effort by all the stakeholders, all the member states concerned, with major contribution, of course, from UNEP itself and the leadership of the Sultanate of Oman, because this country's head of environmental authority was the president of UNEA 7. I really believe UNEA 7 has managed to accomplish or to deliver more than expected. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say it was perfect. Maybe when matching UNEA 7 to similar events that took place like 20 years back, one can say, oh my God, all right? But given the context, given the realities on the ground, the number of decisions, the number of resolutions, and most importantly, because decisions and resolutions are good, but these are papers, right? Of course, they are to be implemented, they're to be transformed into reality. But I think UNEA was the opportunity to celebrate the spirit of countries joining efforts, of countries coming together. And this is something that has proven to be there. And these times, these days, it's becoming a rare commodity, which is really, really worrisome. But UNEA preserved and maintained this kind of approach, and I think this is the biggest achievement. This is the biggest outcome of this recent event. And again, it's Nairobi, you see, so the so-called Nairobi spirit prevails.
You win again.
With all the difficulties, navigating through the sharp corners, but it is there, and I think, well, it's a credit to the country and also to the people.
Indeed. I want to come back to the development, and we're going to exonerate development, like you said, so we can go back to development and say that. What do you think, and I think it is pertinent to the conversation, is an ingredient that is absolutely necessary for countries to adopt and or employ when it comes to true development in whatever sector they're involved in?
Well, it's a difficult question, but also a very easy one. Ownership. Ownership and ownership again. I mean, as long as you are convinced as a country that this is something that you want to do and you want to achieve and you're behind it yourself, then you can do it. I mean, when it's, well, I don't want to say imposed, but when it's defined externally and you're simply allowing, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes passionately, but you're allowing things to happen, but you're not leading the process. That's where the problem starts. And it is fine in some communities, in some post-crisis situations, you'll have some vacuum or some gaps when it comes to countries' own capacity. That's understandable. But the vision must be there. And I think this is one of the key preconditions of success. And again, without any intention to sound self-promotional as I turned back to the experience of my country, because I've worked in development in my country as a national staff member before I've started international career.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a key to success. It has not happened overnight. It took time, it took efforts, but at some point we realized that we have to be firm when it comes to our priorities, to our preferences, that the simple fact that there are some resources or there is strong interest from a partner, as respected and as well intended as this partner is simply not enough for us to say, okay, let's go ahead and do it.
You know, when you look at any country, a country is as good as its people. So you look at the Azerbaijani people, they are the ones that give the leadership of the country its presence, pretty much. You look at the Kenyan people, it is them that then form even the government that there is. And with the partnerships that we do have, then there is need of exchange of cultures, you know, appreciating this. I would finally say that I consume wilderness cooking, Tavajal, the guy from Azerbaijan and his cooking. And yes, and it is through sharing of culture that these countries then get to move forward. How are we looking at expanding that on a larger scale, just so that when we consume, when you enjoy our nyama choma, we can enjoy Tavakal's cooking as well?
Well, I think it is happening. It's really happening, because even the fact that people are talking about it, it's something to celebrate. I can tell you I was nothing less than, should I say, shocked probably is a bit of an overstatement. But I was really amazed when, my colleague, my team member, came to me saying, you know, these are people who are traveling to Azerbaijan, but they've just told me that they have no intention to stay in Baku. I said, what do you mean? They're going to Azerbaijan, not staying? He says, they said they're just landing in Baku, and then they will continue to one of those provinces where these cooking show masters are, and they're going to spend the week there. And, you know, I have to confess that I was a bit ignorant myself. It just happened to me a couple of times in taxis, once in London, once in New York. I was told, oh, you're from Azerbaijan, the cooking shows. And I was like, oh, what are they talking about, right? But then after I've heard this here in Nairobi, I was like, oh, let me have a look. And then I was really amazed. We're living at interesting times when this elderly couple can do more for promotion of the country than your humble servant here. I mean, with all these attempts to eloquently present. But it's a part of bringing nations together. It's a part of introducing people to each other, and it's happening through youth, it's happening through academia, it's happening through research institutions. I mean, we have some very interesting plans, and then of course these are simple pleasures of life. I mean, chakula kenyaji kitamu sana, chakula Azerbaijani is same, so it's pretty much the same. So, and as kind of trivial as it sounds, but these can be like, for example, like food and gastronomy festivals, like with people from Kenya coming to Azerbaijan, people from Azerbaijan coming to Kenya, music, culture, arts. I mean, only yesterday I was talking to some friends, representatives of the Masai University. They came to visit the embassy, and we had this really exciting and engaging discussions that I hope to build on, because that's yet another bridge. And it's something that I really care about, because I believe, along with official channels and senior political dialogues, conversations, discussions, and we're doing really well there. But yet another avenue, equally important, reinforcing the first one, is people-to-people, human beings to human beings relations.
Absolutely. You know, it's great to look at some of these things, and then, you know, even as we wind down on this morning, I have to ask, what are you doing for Christmas?
Well, sikukuu, right? So wakati sikukuu. Pumzika, lazima pumzika kidogo. Kwa sababu bila pumzika hawezi yoyote chochote lolote. I think I was shughuli mingi the whole year, so I don't have any travel plans.
Okay.
I think I'll stay put. I'll be going to Busia County this coming weekend, because there is an event, and it's also related to UNEP, by the way.
Okay, brilliant.
Because it's an event organized by ambassador of Kenya to UNEP. my good friend Excellency Namwamba.
Yeah.
So I've been honored with the invitation. I'll go there, and fortunately for me, Rafiki Mingi, Hapa Nairobi. So I already have a number of Christmas dinner invitations and New Year parties. Also, the 31st of December is the day of solidarity of Azerbaijanis all over the world. Azerbaijani community here is rather small, but it is here.
It's something to do.
So we're gonna get together to celebrate. And speaking of holidays, I have a little bit of small gifts. These are basically sweets.
Oh wow!
From my country, but they are flavored.
Oh, amazing!
And if you look at it, it's also related to World Urban Forum. So we're promoting World Urban Forum in more than one way.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
It's great to have a conversation with you. And maybe I can also let you know that, there's all sorts of great stuff happening at the Sarit Center. So one day when you think, okay, so all these wonderful friends that you're going to meet in Busia, if you want to pick up a little something for them, Sarit Center is great because today and tomorrow, the Maasai Market is at Sarit Center. Great little trinkets that you can pick up. And Mr. and Mrs. Santa will be there. So, you can have a word with them. There's an opportunity for you to tell them that you've been naughty or nice this year, and they can also let you.
We can only be nice.
Always, only nice.
We don't have a
and
choice.
have a conversation with the elves and Rudolph. Great Christmas people that you can have a conversation with, and just let them know. Feast, shop, and jingle away at the Sarit Center this Christmas. There's great music. There's choral presentations, and like I said, Wednesday and Thursday is the day you can pick up those trinkets in case you're doing your last-minute Christmas shopping. This is where you can actually get it done at the Sarit Center. Great stuff.
Done. Decided. Bila Shaka. I'll
Bila
be
Shaka.
there. Totally. Absolutely.
His Excellency will be at Sarit Center this Christmas, and so join him as you do that. His Excellency Sultan Hajiev is Azerbaijan's ambassador to Kenya and the representative to UNEP and UN Habitat. Thank you
Asante
for
Sana.
being in
Thank
the
you so
Situation
very
Room
much
this
for
morning.
Conversation.
Yes.
Thanks once again for having me.
Asante Sana.
Thank you.
And happy holidays.
How do
Merry
you say
Christmas
thank you in
and happy New
Azerbaijani?
Year's. Sahol.
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 Sahol
Yes.
to you too.
Yes.
Thank you
At
so much.
10 o'clock. Thank you for being here in the Situation Room this Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Good morning at 10 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Royal. I'm Lao Ubaga. The High Court in Kibra is expected to issue directions in the murder case against Kenneth